Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 216, Crank from 2006. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Crank Brothers for all your mountain biking needs. Whether you need shoes, pedals, wheels, by the way, pedals in many, egg beater, candy, mallet, whatever size, kind, and shape you need. Dropper posts, check out the Crank Brothers.
Well, shout out to the Crank Brothers and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we'll be kicking off, we're kicking off now, our Crank Week. We're doing Crank today, Crank High Voltage on Friday, both with fan favorite Garrett Smith. But Joe, before we talk to Garrett, before I talk about the Crank movies, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Last weekend to prepare because I didn't see Spider-Man till yesterday, which is Monday, because that was the earliest I could get tickets for. Rachel and I had watched The Amazing Spider-Mans, which I had never seen before.
The two of them.
Yeah, the two of them.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of Andrew. Like, I think I started the first one at one point, and I was just like, I don't like this guy, and turned it off.
Well, it's a shame because you love Emma Stone, so I mean, you were really missing out.
I know, it was a movie made for me. So we watched The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield being a mopey emo Spider-Man and Emma Stone being the main love interest as Gwen Stacy. And the movies aren't bad, okay? Like, they're really not bad. It's not for me. I don't like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. You know how I feel about Emma Stone, which I didn't know she was in it until I started watching, and I was like, wow, really?
Well, I will say right now, just to interject real quick, if you want Spider-Man rundowns to every extent that you could possibly imagine, check out High School Slumber Party, because Brian and Mike Manzi did like 6 or 7 Spider-Man episodes this month. He did the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, both Andrew Garfield. They did the Into the Spider-Verse. They did a couple No Way Homes already. So like, it's crazy. Anything you want, go check out High School Slumber Party.
It's truly Into the Spider-Verse on High School Slumber Party. So then we went to go see Spider-Man on Monday. That was like the main thing that we did, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I don't want to say anything to spoil it, but I think you should see it if you would want to see it. It's really cool in a lot of different ways. So this is what I thought, and I want to hear your take on it. That I think that coming off Eternals made it even better.
You didn't like Eternals?
Yeah, I was like, it was just like a lot of setup.
Sure, okay.
This Spider-Man movie feels like it's also a lot of setup, but I think it does it a lot better than Eternals. So like having them back to back is like, okay. I still love Shang-Chi, man, and I think that's like the best one of this bunch so far.
Okay.
So, but that, that's all personal preference. Like, I think that Shang-Chi was a little bit more surprising in different ways than the new Spider-Man. But the new Spider-Man's great. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just like, that's how I'm feeling coming off of it on a day. And it was, packed crowd. Probably not great for Omicron, but sure. And that's pretty much it. That's what I've been up to.
Cool, yeah, I saw it on Thursday before I saw Nightmare Alley, which is a new Guillermo del Toro movie, which I liked but didn't love.
Was there a fish that had sex with a human in it?
No, this is much worse. Not much worse, but it's worse than the fish movie, the fish sex movie. I love Shape of Water. This was... but I did talk about Spider-Man No Way Home on Out Now with Aaron and Abe.
True,
you were invited too, but you had not seen it yet, so I joined Aaron. Abe was not there, so it was me and Aaron and 2 guys I did not know. But we talked about it for like 2.5 hours on Sunday night. That's out now. That is very spoilery, because I was talking to you, I don't remember if I said this to you or just thinking this, but when we did F9 on their show, they were like, hey, we don't really want to spoil things. We're like, cool, like we can sort of dance around some stuff. And like we tiptoed towards spoilers, but didn't.
Yeah.
So I asked last night, or on Sunday night when we recorded, how do we do this without spoiling? He's like, oh no, we're gonna have to. Like, everybody's either gonna have seen it or whatever, or like they're not gonna care about spoilers if they listen to it. So we like went full bore on spoilers. So Brian and Kyle and Mike on Brian's show did full spoilers. And if you want Out Now with Aaron and Abe, plus somebody from Slash Film and somebody else, like it was a cool conversation, long conversation, because there's lots to talk about. But yeah, Spider-Man was a blast. I think I like it more than Shang-Chi, but I think those are definitely the 2 best since Endgame, right? Like in the last 5 or 6 or whatever. So
I agree.
Are you caught up with Hawkeye or no?
I am, and I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's the best Marvel, it's the best MCU TV show, right? Like, or do you still like other ones more?
I still like other ones more, but this one is great because this is the first one that feels like it has real implications in the MCU.
It's also the short. No, I guess Falcon was also 6, but this is 6. Like this, the finale as we record this is tomorrow.
Oh,
okay. The finale will have
wow.
aired by the time anybody hears this anywhere, because we're not recording. We won't record the back half of this until after the finale is already out. So yeah, tomorrow is the finale, and then next week, Boba Fett starts, or tomorrow as you're listening to this, Boba Fett starts.
I feel like Hawkeye is like really paralleling the movies. You know, WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Those two were like, okay, like this is just more content. Whereas like now it feels like these are like, oh, they're almost integral, like you need to be watching them as this is happening.
I do think you need to see all of them. Like, I think that they're doing it in a way that it's never more than one at a time, so it's never more than an hour a week. But like, you have to see even What If, which was positioned as like a standalone thing, it factors in, especially
seems like it. Yeah.
Certain things that might or might not have been in movies.
It definitely does.
You have to watch it all. I do like Hawkeye. This is kind of a spoiler for Hawkeye, but like it's just open. Like people are posting about, like the actors are posting about it, but like the fact that Yelena Belova's there, like Florence Pugh is amazing. I love her as Yelena, so I love that she's there. So she's great. I'm glad that she showed up. I love Haley Steinfeld from all of her movies. I like Jeremy Renner, so I like Linda Cardellini. Like it's great, and it's short and it's good, and I'm very much into that. So yeah, Marvel winning.
I said
#winning.
No, I said this before. Like the only part that I don't like about Hawkeye is it's just like a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and like I really don't care. Like it feels like too much of an action movie for me at points. But like all the story points, I do like.
Sure.
A lot. So that's.
You just don't like action.
No, not that I don't like action, but like just like a 6-minute like choreographed fight scene is like, okay, cool.
Like it's not. I mean, it's good. It's not great though. It's not compared to like. It's not the best of like things that we will have watched or whatever. But no, it's good. I mean, I think it's better than other Marvel things, but it's whatever. Yeah. So yes, Hawkeye good. Hawkeye good.
It's good. Yes.
I also saw The Lost Daughter in movie theaters, which is Maggie Gyllenhaal wrote and directed this, starring Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley. It's great. It made me feel very anxious. It's a drama. Let me see what Letterboxd describes it as. A woman's seaside vacation takes a dark turn when her obsession with a young mother forces her to confront secrets from her past. And it's just, Olivia Colman on vacation and sees Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey and a bunch of other movies. Okay. And her husband or boyfriend or whatever, who is the guy, he's Oliver Jackson Cohen, who is the guy, you remember in Hill House?
I didn't see Hill House.
He was also in Bly Manor.
Didn't see Bly Manor. Only Midnight Mass for me.
Oh, Jesus. Well, he's not in Midnight Mass. But yeah, so Olivia Colman on vacation sort of becomes obsessed with Dakota Johnson. Jessie Buckley plays a younger Olivia Colman. It's basically just like people on vacation and like tension brewing, and you're kind of like something very bad could happen, but it also doesn't feel like the kind of movie where something terribly bad could happen, but also it might. And so like it's the whole thing is just like, oh God.
Okay, so it makes you anxious. That makes sense.
But it's very, very good. So shout out to Maggie Gyllenhaal for, Rachel from The Dark Knight. This is her first feature, and it's incredible how good it is. So that was good. Speaking of Midnight Mass and stuff, although I might have cut that out. This might not make sense. I don't know. But I watched Midnight Mass, which I liked a lot. I did not like as much as Hill House. I talked to John Brooks about it because John Brooks loved it, Midnight Mass. Like that was like he said it's his favorite filmed thing in years. I was like, okay, cool.
I liked it a lot. I was a big fan. I thought it was really awesome. And it's beautiful too. So I get where he's coming from. I don't, necessarily rank it as that for me, but I get where he's coming from. I can see it.
One of the issues that I have with it is I wish it wasn't an issue, but it is kind of an issue. And it's the same thing. Like I just started Squid Game. I'm only one episode in Squid Game, but it's the kind of thing where it's like everyone on Earth is like, this is the greatest show of the year. And I watch it and I'm like, yeah, it's good. But like, it's not as good. But also like the Mike Flanagan thing, like everybody who loves Mike Flanagan loves Mike Flanagan. So even if I was like the first person in the world to see Midnight Mass, I still would have known the internet like, oh my God, new Mike Flanagan show coming this week or whatever. But like Midnight Mass is great. Like I'm not saying it's not great, but it's just not my favorite thing of the year, but it's really good. So
yeah, I get it. There's like you're still chasing hype, right? Like it's just, and I think that generally like the stuff that becomes hype in the public can be good, but people have a limited lens. This happens to me a lot because I'll be like, oh, like my friends will be like, did you see the show? I'll be like, yeah, I watched it. They'll be like, it was the greatest show ever. I'll be like, yeah, it was good. But like I've seen even me, who sees a lot less stuff than you, I'm like, that movie was good, but like I've seen a lot better movies. Like,
yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Like even things that I know are going to be great. Some of them, like I'm like, yeah, that was great, or like it still blows me away, or can still sort of It's just I don't know. I think it's all about the mood you're in. If I watch Midnight, what I will say about Midnight Mass and all of Mike Flanagan stuff, he, unlike many other people, creates art and TV shows in a way that kind of encourages rewatching in a way that I don't think many other people do. Like, we watch the Fast and Furious movies on loop just because we're insane, but like, you're not really getting more out of it the second time around. Yeah, we're like picking up on little details or whatever, but like Hill House and Blind Manor and this all, once you know, I don't want to call it the twist, but like once you know what happens and how things play out, I do think that watching it again, you will glean more information and get more stuff out of the earlier episodes, which I don't think is true of most things. I think most things probably improve on getting rewatched, but I think his are like written to be rewatched.
That makes sense. I get it. Yeah, you know, when you're watching, okay, for like the most gentlest basic analogy, I think like when you watch Fight Club the first time and then when you watch it again, you're like, oh man, like look at all this stuff I missed in the beginning.
I think it's partly that, but I think like Fight Club is sort of different because it's reliant upon a twist, where Midnight Mass, there's twists, but it's just like
it's building to a story. It's not really a twist. It's just like it just is the story. Yeah. You don't know it yet.
Correct. Yes. And that's why when you were, I think it might have been on air last week where I was like 3 episodes in, you're like, how are you liking it? I'm like, I like it, but like, I think it's too early to say because I know that it's building toward a thing. And I don't want to say like, oh, it's not good yet because, and I was saying this to John, like, this is a very, very dumbing down and not how I really feel. But if you asked me what I thought of Hill House after 4 episodes, I'd be like, it sucks. I wouldn't say that, but like just for the sake of argument, it's not good.
Yeah.
But then the 5th episode, you're like, oh, I get it now. But going from 4 to 5, I was just like, okay, I understand now. Or 5, whatever, it's either 5 or 6. One episode like halfway through was like, this is incredible, and now I get it. But until that point, I was just like, I don't see what's special about this, right? So
yeah.
He does a thing where it's just like, take the whole thing in, enjoy it, absorb it, think about it, watch it again, listen to people talk, whatever. Do your thing. John put out an episode with Dan Colon, our guest last week, and also Dr. Kelly Baker. They were on talking about Midnight Mass from like October, I think. So check that out if you want Hard to Believe. The other thing that you and I both did separately, but the guest today introduced us on our Speed Racer Patreon episode to an online editing collective, which is the most succinct way to say it, I guess, called Racer Trash, which live streams.
We pitched on here before when we did the Speed Racer episode a lot. Was that a
episode? That was behind the paywall, yeah. So
okay,
get your finances in order and come join us because we talk about good stuff behind the paywall.
We do a lot, actually.
And we just moved a bonus episode behind the paywall. We got a couple with Brian Late Night Slumber Party Rodriguez coming up. One of which is going to be insane, and one of which will be a continuation of a series that we started this year. So if you're not already a patron at toofast2forever.com, you shouldn't give us money, but it's going to be worth it because like there's going to be a couple bonus Brian episodes that to be like, oh boy, this is going to be wild.
He's just kind of like arm wrestled Joey into more episodes behind the paywall recently. I know, that's why I'm giggling.
I don't remember if I said it on air or off. It's just easier to say yes to Brian. So more Brian coming and other stuff, bonus episodes monthly and everything like that. But we talked about Racer Trash. They started in the pandemic. They are apparently dissolving or breaking up or just not doing anymore. So what they're doing instead, or not instead, to sort of send themselves off, is they're streaming everything they did. So they had like a 19-hour or 17-hour live stream
insane,
Saturday.
Like it was all day Saturday into Sunday morning for us, like until like 9 or 10 a.m. Yeah, it was like noon to 10 or something.
It was noon Pacific. It was 3 p.m. our time to 10. Yeah, so 3 to 10 would be like 19 hours. It was crazy, and it's so cool, and like it's genuinely unlike anything else on the internet.
Yep.
You and I both love it, and so they're going to do 2 more streams this month. I don't know when those are. I would guess that by the time this episode comes out, one of them will already have happened. But just follow Racer Trash on Twitter or twitch.tv/RacerXTrash, or just Google it or whatever and find them. But
to describe it though, it's like they take movies like for example Speed Racer, they edit them like it feels like chopped and screwed to me, like it's like slowed down, like very purpley, kind of like that whole chopped and screwed era of hip hop, and then like they also put like chill wave music over it, so it's kind of like extended music videos, but it's kind of trippy, and it's a movie that you've seen, and it's everybody's different perspective of it because there's like I don't know 15-20 of them, so they each do like a piece, You're right. It's just very interesting, very weird. It feels great to have on in the background of something. I don't know, if you were looking like a really hipster bar, this feels like something you would just have playing in the background, right?
Yes. And so I think the only one that they have publicly available is Speed Vapor, which is their Speed Racer one. It's on their Vimeo. You can find that if you Google that. They also have like clips and stuff online that you can watch, but it's just so cool. Like it's so well done. Like they just have a bunch of people like, hey, edit a 5 or 10 minute chunk, and then they all like put it together, and like it tells the story, but it's also like, you know, Joe's saying like it's about the movie, but it's also like they did like one on Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann one from the 90s, but they also just had like, because Harold Perrineau was in there, but they had, when we talked about Lost and like just Michael shouting for Waltz, they just have like an extended like super cut of him saying Waltz.
They
so like
have
it's just
so much weird shit because like they're pop culture nerds like us, so
yeah.
There's a ton of Mario references and like Nintendo. I mean, like there was obviously a Mario.
They did a whole Super Mario one, yeah, based on the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, so then there's like, you know, like video game stuff and the movie and sounds, and you know, they just cut in like a bunch of random shit that you're just, like, whenever I'm watching it I'm like, what the fuck? And then like you see 4 things that are related, but it's just like what they're thinking of while they're watching that movie. It's really cool.
And what was fun was that like I knew like they had leaked, quote unquote leaked, set list of what they were going to do. But it's like I don't know when things start or end, because like it kind of is, but it's like also like, is this the last thing? Is it just like a bump or an interstitial in between? Is this the next thing? I don't know, but it's very special. Again, they're going to be on Twitch. They're going to stream 2 more things. All of the things that came out this year, probably 30 more hours worth of stuff. Like it's so cool. It's going to go away. I mean, hopefully they release it in some form or whatever, but check it out if you can, because it's amazing. So 2 more times between now and the end of the year. And Joe, do you want to plug once again the what people should do on New Year's Eve?
On New Year's Eve, my greatest recommendation to all of you guys, which I know some of you have started following, is please, for your own sake, watch the CNN broadcast of Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper getting wasted on CNN and them doing the wackiest shit I've ever seen. It feels like nobody's actually paying attention to what's happening that night, and it's a lot of fun to just see these people go wild. They go to like the bar in Key West usually. They've been to dispensaries and on a weed bus once. Like to where like one of the people got stoned. Don Lemon got his ear pierced on live TV. It just like weird shit happens. So I highly recommend it. I find it very enjoyable. It's something great to drink to, and it's better than fucking Ryan Seacrest.
Well, I will say that there is a challenger approaches that replacing Carson Daly this year is now Pete Davidson and Miley Cyrus. So that's a couple of Chaos Goblins. I don't know.
It is Chaos Goblins, but I don't know if they can behave the way I want them to make that as interesting as I want it to be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's either going to be amazing or terrible, and I feel like the fact that people are expecting amazing, because you're like, Andy Cohen, Anderson Cooper, they're nerds or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, they're just like the guy from the
hosts.
Housewives, the guy from the Housewives, and the guy that's on CNN that just like tells like news things and like hosts what is the political debates. You're like, what is those guys? Yeah, but they're fucking wasted, and like that's the charm of that for me. That you just see them just like when Nicole Kidman called in and Andy asked her about her long weird fingers, and then they hung up on him. You know, like. That's the kind of weird stuff that happens on the CNN broadcast. That's why I like it so much.
So CNN on New Year's Eve, because this episode will come out on the 28th on the main feed, and our Crank High Voltage episode will come out on New Year's Eve. So no matter where you're listening to this on the Patreon or the main feed, do in your interest, set a Siri reminder or whatever.
Give it a shot.
Watch
and like
CNN.
And it gets rowdier as it goes, right? Like at midnight, it kind of like starts to really tank, because then they do like midnight in other places, but like around like 11:30, they're pretty toasty. So
yeah, I think that's all I did in the last week. I also had my birthday. I had dinner with my parents,
birthday.
But that was uneventful. Thank you so much. Rachel had her birthday. Spy Racers is out.
That's right. I haven't watched it yet, but Spy Racers is out.
Spy Racers.
What's it called? It's called Spy Racers Homecoming, too, by the way. I saw it on... Yeah, I saw
Spy Racers Far From Home. Spy Racers No Way Home.
Yes, exactly.
We have a Patreon page, the aforementioned Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenen, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, and this show also apparently. Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato DiDonato. Duke also now going to be the father of a second baby.
I saw. Congrats,
little boy.
Duke.
Congrats to Duke.
Yeah, I saw.
Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. What an intro. There a lot going on there. So
there was, but good job remembering and spotlighting Duke for that. I wonder if his son is going to be as fucking adorable as his daughter is, because she's really cute. So
she is very cute. Dominic Toretto Hayden. He promised me he's going to name him Dominic Toretto. He did not promise me that, but dude, I know you're listening.
Brian Hayden.
We have an email address, family@cage. And also, I will say, join the Patreon. We got a bonus episode coming up soon. We just had a bonus episode. We got crazy stuff coming up. Again, whenever Brian's on, it's just like, what are we doing? So
yeah, he's picking movies way fucking out there. So
yes.
Yeah.
So just know that.
When Brian came to us and goes, just hear us out. This movie kind of works, and this is why. And, like, it didn't work for, like, the theme, the lap, like, the show, anything. He was just like, this is why it kind of works. So you're like, okay, I guess. But
yeah. We have an email address, family@cageclub.me, and we have a couple things, very quick reads. We got our year in review from YouTube. Our most viewed countries are the Philippines and India, and then the U.S. So bots, grumpy old men. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really, I mean, we've said it before. YouTube, like, we don't care if people watch on YouTube or not. It's just there in case people want to watch it. But
yeah.
I will say we did get another YouTube comment on our Into the Blue episode. I don't know what they were expecting, but it just, from Mina Reno, Service SG, the entirety of the comment, motherfucker. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Don't know.
Thanks.
Don't know. And then our only real email for today is from Justin Kleiman, subject line, area codes. He says, lending credence to your X12 area code theory, Minneapolis is 612.
Oh.
So we had said last time New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Austin, but I forgot Minneapolis 612.
That's really cool. I like the 1-2s, man. On the 1-2-1-2s. That's cool.
But then the weird thing is that 712 goes into Iowa.
Yeah, kind of strange.
So not a big city. And then I can imagine 812, 912. It's also to the point where, like, it's far enough around that it doesn't really make sense. Like 323, like that's why probably LA is 323, right? Because it's like it's closer on the turn on the dial or whatever. But yeah, Minneapolis 612, the last of the great 1-2 area codes.
That's awesome.
So thank you, Justin. Minneapolis, born and bred. Also, the Vikings played last night, and Jesus Christ, what an ugly win.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, but you won, so that's good. We don't count what it looked like in the scorebooks, right? So
it's the first time Kirk Cousins has ever won back-to-back primetime games. So
I know he's getting rid of that curse, Kirk. Man. Like he did that.
He threw for 87 yards last night. Whoo boy! I mean, they won, so whatever, it's fine.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, of note, you can now, if you listen on Spotify, which if you're a patron, you should not be listening to Spotify. We talked about that recently. You should be listening to the Patreon feed. But if you listen on Spotify, Spotify now accepts user ratings. So please rate our podcast 5 stars.
Yep.
Mostly because I'm assuming a lot of people who listen on Spotify are probably looking for the soundtrack. They'd be like, this isn't the soundtrack. Like, I'm assuming there's probably a big chunk of people listening who are grumpy like they are on YouTube. So just give us 5 stars, please.
Yeah. Thank you. That would be nice.
Yeah, please. I don't know why they never did it, but they now do it now. So rating 5 stars, submit. Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. Anything you've seen? I mean, Spy Racers is out now, but anything else you've seen of note?
Didn't you just post that the gal's going to be in a new movie?
I posted, so Walt posted, I responded to it, that Gal is in the new Kenneth Branagh movie, which they're not really promoting because someone who got canceled is in it. Hold on. But like his Murder on the Orient Express sequel, like the next Hercule Poirot.
Okay.
Death on the Nile, where he plays Poirot again, starring Gal Gadot, but also who was in it? Oh, right, Armie Hammer's in it. That's why they're not really talking about it. Because it's a movie with Kenneth Branagh and Gal Gadot and Rose Leslie from Game of Thrones and Armie Hammer and like all Russell Brand. Like a bunch of people are in this, and like the first one was really popular, and so you would think they would be promoting it more, but the Armie Hammer of it all, they're like, oh, let's not. So Gal Gadot in Death on the Nile coming in February.
Yeah, poor Gal. Like, she's been in some great movies, like fucking Red Notice and stuff like that, and they all seem to kind of have like a little bit of weirdness around them. So,
anything else you've seen? I feel like there was maybe another thing. Let me see if I can find one. But yeah, is there anything you can think of that we have seen in the last week?
The one we're going to talk about.
Sure, for sure.
Spy Racers, we said that.
Minor news, but Fast and Furious 10 moved back 6 weeks from April to May. So May 23, Fast and Furious 10. So instead of kicking off in April, it kicks off in May, which is fine. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
It's it's the same thing. The last one was coming out in May anyways, and whatever. And it's probably gonna get moved again anyway, so I'm not fucking worried about it yet.
Yeah. But what you hinted at, there is a new episode of Young Rock, the holiday special, now on Hulu and probably Peacock and wherever you watch NBC shows. And it's very, very cute.
The Christmas Peril.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And it's really hilarious. The premise of it actually really made me happy.
It's like the ghost,
So it's the Christmas Carol.
Yep.
But The Rock is, instead of playing Tiny Tim, he's playing what? Large Tim?
Big Tim. Tiny Tim grew up. Big Tim.
He's Big Tim, and his crutch is like a shotgun with like shotgun shells in it and stuff, which is kind of goofy. So like that's fun.
And it starts around littlest Dewey, young Dewey, like 8 or 10-year-old Dewey,
yes,
who wants a Cabbage Patch Kid, but finds out he's going to get like a Radish Baby, which is like the knockoff Cabbage Patch
generic.
Kid.
Yeah.
But high school Dewey shows up and just like, this is not your worst Christmas. Let me show you your worst Christmas. And they just go through and they show all these different things. But in the end, as Young Rock goes, it's all about the people you spend time with and like the things that you do and everything. But it's cool because it's the first time and probably the only time where young Dewey, high school Dewey, and college Dewey all meet each other and they hang out in
yes,
the ghost realm.
Yeah, it was the very first time that we got all three of those actors together, and they actually played really well against each other too. I mean, we knew that we really liked all of them separately, but there was never a reason for them to kind of be together, and it was cool that it was like a showcase to let them act upon each other.
Yeah.
It was cute seeing them all think that the older one is the coolest version of themselves, like, as it goes.
Yes. Like, to the point where they're like, oh my god, like, because young Dewey sees... What's her name? Karen? Is it Karen or it's the girlfriend that he lost? He's just like,
yeah,
how did you mess that up? She's beautiful.
Yeah, what is it? Studies hard Karen or something? You remember when he's like,
yeah. And then they go to college, like, oh my god, do we look like that? Like, that's amazing. And then they see actual The Rock.
Dwayne,
like, why would we ever wear a shirt? Like, it's just funny. So like every time, like he's getting better looking and more ripped and more popular and whatever as time goes on.
Yeah, and that cracked me up. And just like the whole premise was just cute, and like like, what was it? Like, the whole story was just, like, life and also Christmas is, like, all what you make of it. So just, like, stop being a dickhead about it. And then, like it's only bad because you put yourself in a bad position.
Yeah.
Also, we got another cameo of Ed Ogeron, which is always funny to me.
Oh, is he the guy? Is he the coach?
Yeah. You know who he is?
You told me. I forget who it is, though.
He was the head coach of LSU until he just, like, quit this year.
Okay.
But he's always like, go Tigers. Like, he has, like, that goofy accent. And, like, yeah, so seeing Ed Ogeron always cracks me up because I think that he's a really funny human in real life. Just because, like, his accent and shit is wild. He, like, does pressers. He sounds like this.
And he's probably, like, the biggest star of this that's not one of the Deweys because, like, the college Dewey spends Christmas with him and his mom. So he's on screen for probably more than he has to this point, right?
Yeah, he's a big part of this episode. Macho Man's in this episode. Andre, we've had episodes with before, but Andre the Giant's in this one. It was cute, man. And, like, I'm a big Grinch, and you can hear that, like, it made me smile and laugh, so.
It's only 20 minutes. Just watch it. You get Dwanta Claus, which is a great way, because we had Lanta in Fate of the Furious, but now we got Dwanta Claus, so, yeah, it's a good episode. Check it out.
It was definitely a good one. I enjoyed it, and it made me smile. And to be honest, like, now I'm just, like, amped to get more Young Rock, because, like, I do think that show is, like, really heartwarming.
Yeah.
So, like, just give me more of that, and, like, I'm glad that they made this to make that. I told you, but I haven't, like I watch Pat McAfee a lot, and, like, they're all giant fans of it, because they're, like, wrestling fans, football fans, The Rock fans. So, like, they were talking about how amped they were for it, and when they watched it, how cute it was when it came out last week, so...
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Check it out.
Yep.
But the only thing to do, that's all the news, the only thing that we do before we take a break is the Fast and Furious, the Too Fast, Too Furious minutes. Minute 41, which I feel like this minute title could change based on the trivia question, which I didn't write any yet, but we'll get there. But for now, minute 41, a minute called Potential.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
It means you're always getting in trouble over a female, Brian.
Man, Tesh's garage is ridiculous. He's got the best of everything. Snap-on tools. All these lifts are brand new. They're only maybe a couple months old. Hey, yo, Jimmy. What's up, man?
Hey, what up, Bullet?
Hey, that's Rome right there. Do me a favor. When you get a second, I want you to check out the Evo and the Spider and make sure everything's copacetic.
Evo? Where'd you get an Evo from?
Bro, it's a long story.
I got you, man.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Come check this out. Man, it's so hot and humid out here, I can't even wear no drawers.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Look at all this potential out here.
Wait, don't do that, man. You're making me look like that. Come on, man. Don't do that. Come on, stop that. I can do that, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Damn.
So in this minute, Roman scolds Brian about chasing after women before they finally leave Carter Verone's house. Thank God.
I know. And this was what I was telling you about the other day, remember?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That, like, this was the history and what we were talking about when we were talking about No Knees Denise. Them talking about No Knees Denise and taking down No Knees Denise and getting in trouble with women and stuff is like, this is kind of a Roman and Brian through line now.
Yeah. Even though Roman is also, like, as the movies go on, Brian settles down, Roman's like, you know, Mr. Playboy or whatever. But yeah, for now, the established history, always having trouble with females, Brian.
Exactly.
So then, Brian and Roman pull up to Tesh's garage, and Brian gives him the lay of the land. Brian asks Jimmy to check out the Evo and the spider to make things copacetic. Make sure things are copacetic. Brian and Roman head behind Tesh's garage to see all the potential. Jet ski races, women in bikinis, and a non-stop party as the minute ends. So not only are we finally off Carter's property, but there is so much to take in. There's the party out back. There is all the garage stuff out front. Bunch of cars. So I dug deep on one thing, but before we go there, what did you find? Anything cool that you found? Did you find locations? Because there's a lot of opportunity here for different things.
So I looked in every type of film location set thing that I looked at and Googled and forums and everything. It won't tell me where Tesh's garage is. I was wondering, there is a street sign in the background. It's just so small, I can't see it. It's when Jimmy and Brian are talking, and he asks them about to check the Evo. There is a street sign, but it's across the street and behind them. So it was very difficult for me to see. I don't think I could make it out. I was going to ask you if you could read it. Possibly, but I don't think that you will be able to.
I'm going to bring it up on Amazon Prime. Actually, let's see here, because we talked about on Fast and Furious how they described that movie. So here's how Amazon Prime describes Too Fast, Too Furious. Oh, this is a much better description. Paul Walker finds his way into the Miami street racing scene where he's forced to go undercover for the FBI in this sequel. Yeah, that makes sense. It's supposed to, it's about heroin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up the street sign and see if I can find it. Because, what's weird, so there's a burger chain in Austin called P. Terry's, P.Terry.
I think I've heard you, and I think Wes says he really likes it, right? Was that one of his top tier choices? Yeah.
It's a good fast food burger.
Okay.
Probably better than Whataburger, but I'm not going to go to bat for P. Terry's. That's not going to go. Nothing's gonna work out well here. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, their thing is they have sort of Art Deco kind of weird eye-catching building designs, and so next to Tesh's garage,
the shape of the buildings.
Yeah. Or just a thing that they'll have, the roof or whatever will be oh, that's a weird looking thing. Whatever, that's a P. Terry's. So the roof next door, to the covered garage thing looks
where
kind of
he meets
funky.
Jimmy. Yeah, it's very 60s. Yeah, you're right. I noticed.
And then there's a mountain or something, or a weird building behind. Did you notice that?
There was a sign that I couldn't read there, and that's why I was okay, on to the next.
It's weird, and I didn't know if this was gonna be I can't screenshot Amazon Prime.
Why is it blocking you? Because
it's black, because some Netflix and Amazon block you from
screenshotting picture. Oh, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I've never tried it.
There's a mountain kind of thing behind it. I couldn't tell if that was gonna be a landmark you could use or what that was, or maybe just it might just be a thatched roof of something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, a giant teepee roof or something weird. Yeah,
it looks like a mountain. It's clearly not a mountain because it's in downtown Miami, right? But
it's probably to be honest, a hibachi restaurant or something weird, right? Some kind of themed, a tiki bar or something.
Yeah. The road is John's something. I don't know if it's Johnston. It looks like the word continues with John, and then it looks like an S at least. Is the road that intersects, that is. So the road that Tesh's garage is on is not John's whatever, but the road that's perpendicular to that goes alongside it, I would imagine ends of the water, is John's something.
John's, okay.
If that's probably a real street sign. There's not that many streets that end in probably a little. I mean, maybe there's a bunch of lakes or whatever, but you know what I mean. I cannot read the street sign behind Brian and Jimmy That's real tiny.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was trying to read that because that's the street that tells you what street it's on.
Although it looks like West something Drive. West Ocean Drive, maybe?
Would make sense. West Ocean Drive. Street lined with Art Deco buildings is what it's described in Google Maps.
Hey, man. So West Ocean Drive and John's something?
Yeah, but they look like they're like on... They look like they're like on the water, though. So is it like Alton Road?
Oh, there's Ocean Drive here. Yeah, okay, so I'm looking now. Ocean Drive, street line with Art Deco buildings. So what are these? Like, I think we're like
because the back of it touches the. Oh no, West Avenue maybe. Because like, look, that's the side of Miami there. West Avenue is the side.
Okay, so Ocean Drive runs basically north south, right? I think John's is something like that runs east west. That like, or it's like it's just numbered streets, but like first, second, third, fourth, fifth.
I'll do some.
We got West Ocean. We got West Ocean, which feels like note that in the document because we're getting closer.
I think that it's West Avenue. If you go to the west side of Long Beach, there's West Avenue that runs up the side, but that runs along the water at parts. You see what I'm saying? Like we need something that somehow touches the water because like we see that there's water right behind them, like a bay.
Right, but like West Ocean Drive would not touch the water.
No,
it runs parallel to the water.
And the other side of South Beach is the beach, is South Beach. So, like, that's sand. There's no sand there. It's more of the other side.
Yeah.
Get it? And that's called West Avenue, which would make sense.
But they're on this island, you think, right? On Miami Beach?
I would be inclined to say so.
All the east-west streets are numbered. So, like, whatever that is, like John's or whatever, wouldn't be that. So, I don't know. But, yeah. Okay. Closer. Still not an answer, but closer, maybe.
Also, so something cool that I did find, to segue us back in, is that there's this, like, weird shop called Wings that's a beach store, and it looks like one of these, like, I don't know, what are they called in, like, Ocean City? I'm sure that they're called, like, sunscreen, or, like, what are, like, sunnies or something, you know what I mean?
Oh, wait, hold on, I found a website. Okay.
What? Go ahead, tell me.
The garage owned by ex-Street Racer Tej stood at 1200 North Ocean Drive in Hollywood Beach, 20 miles north of downtown Miami. It's been since demolished and the site redeveloped as a parking lot. But 1200 North Ocean Drive, Hollywood, Florida. That's on the water.
That's it. Yep. Let's see if the other streets. Johnson Street.
Street. Yep.
There you go. It's now a place that's called Puffles.
The other thing that I found in this thing is that the Pearl Champagne Lounge, which we talked about last minute, we're going to get to, is on Ocean Drive in South Miami Beach. So we'll get back to Ocean Drive. This is a different Ocean Drive, different town, but same ocean.
Okay. That's very, very cool. Good find, good spot. I love it. Thank you.
Cool. All right. What else did you find?
The store that we said, which was Wings, and I said this reminds me of like a beach store. What are they called in Ocean City? I know that there's like different ones. There's like Sunnies, or you know, like when you go to one of these beach towns and they have the store that's like flip-flops and like t-shirts of the beach that you're at, shot glasses, towels, sunscreen, these kind of stores.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Wings looks like one of those, but there was no Wings store in Miami when I searched for it. Coolest thing that I found in my like weird, digging is that Tej's microphone is a Fanon Power microphone.
Okay.
Megaphone. There's like one shot that he has like that he stops and you can see Fanon written on the side, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I found it looks like they just peeled the sticker off the megaphone part of it, like the horn of it.
Okay.
One last interesting thing that I got was there's two custom bicycles inside the garage.
Oh,
which I thought,
no. I just saw the thing.
Yep.
Okay.
There's two custom bicycles inside the garage, which I thought was, like, interesting. So I thought that maybe that could play into the question, because they're, like, on screen for a while. They're in the background, but they're, like, on screen for a while. And then lastly, go ahead, Joey.
Wait, so what's on the screen for a while? Say that again, because I was...
The two custom bicycles, because, like, right behind Brian and Roman, when they're standing there looking out at the water, but you see inside the garage, it's like them side by side, kind of.
I'm looking now. I'm watching now.
There's like a yellow bicycle and a purple bicycle that are like behind them, and they're like...
Oh, yeah, which actually matches the colors of their cars, right?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, purple and yellow. So I thought that was like interesting that they're there. They're just in the garage and just there. We never see them again.
Okay, so where is the number? Where'd you pull the number off of?
Look up on the sign right above them, above the custom bicycles. I don't know what it's for. It doesn't even have a sign of what it's for.
Yeah, that's tricky. All right, we're going to find out.
Okay, so there's a phone number that's on the sign. You don't see what the sign says. It's just the phone number.
Thank you for calling Nitrous Express and Snow Performance. Please make a selection from the following choices. For sales, press...
I got to say that again. Is nitrous what?
Yeah, it's nitrous. That's what I said.
Thank you for calling Nitrous Express and Snow Performance. Please make a selection from the following choices.
I can't hear it.
For sales, press 1.
Let me search the number to try to find out what it is, because I didn't want to do that and ruin it. But it sounds like it's like a NOS filling company, which would make perfect sense.
All right, so the issue is that there's no, like, main operator line.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries. I just want to find out what it was.
It's a nitrous something
it's nitrousexpress.com.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. Cool.
So nitrousexpress.com, does it still exist? The page is loading very, very slow.
Well, the company still exists.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. It's just yeah, there you go. It would make perfect sense that this is just Nitrous Express.
Are they based in Florida is the question. They're based in Texas.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how many custom nitrous things are there? These guys would obviously know, even if it was in Texas, that this is, like, the Nitrous Systems company. Oh, that's cool. We've seen this sticker before. Like, they've had it on their car. It makes a lot of sense. Okay.
The other thing I wanted to say before I pointed out what I did the research on is that the song playing this minute is Pick Up the Phone by Tyrese, featuring Ludacris and also R. Kelly, who we're not going to talk about. But Tyrese and Ludacris together in a song, not bad.
Yeah, and R. Kelly. Very strange. Okay.
And R. Kelly. Again, not going to talk about him, but he's there. Okay, so what I went deep on this minute was Jimmy has been in the movie. Tej was talking to Jimmy on the phone. We see Jimmy at the bridge, lowering the bridge or raising the bridge, right?
Yes.
But I did some digging on Jimmy. He is played by Jin Ah-young, who's also known as MC Jin.
Yep.
Too Fast, Too Furious, his first on-screen credit. He was also in The Man with the Iron Fist, which is a movie that RZA starred in and maybe directed or wrote or something.
He wrote
it's like
or
a RZA
directed.
movie. Yeah.
He produced maybe something, but yes. He did a lot of things for it. Yep, I agree.
Jin has been in 18 total films. He's got songs in 5 different movies, which we knew these, but Too Fast, Too Furious, the song Peel Off, and in Fast and Furious 6, HK, Hong Kong Superstar, which is pretty cool. I thought it was cool that there was a YouTube series I used to watch or I'd seen some of called The Epic Rap Battles of History. Do you know that? Do you remember that?
I knew MC Jin as a rap battle artist from, like, YouTube back in the day.
Gotcha. Okay, this was like, I want to say it was like a drunk history, but not drunk, obviously. It was like the kind of like retelling or whatever. And this is Eastern philosophers versus Western philosophers, and he wrote that episode, which I thought was pretty cool. Of note, though, from his wiki, he's notable for being the first Asian-American solo rapper to be signed to a major record label in the U.S., which is very cool.
That's very cool. Good for him.
Born and raised in Miami, which makes sense why he's here. His parents owned a Chinese restaurant. His big break came in 2002, although I think before this movie came out, they were like, we're going to move to New York, and they moved to New York, so whatever. Okay. So I think he eventually also grew up in New York, too, but whatever. So in 2002, his big break was when 106 and Park invited local rappers on Freestyle Friday. He occasionally spoke Cantonese in his freestyle verses, which was very cool and very unusual. He won 7 in a row, got inducted into the Freestyle Friday Hall of Fame, and then when he was inducted, he announced that he had signed, that Rough Riders Entertainment label had signed him to a record deal, which is very cool.
I remember those 1 and 6 in Park rap battles, like that was at a period in time, it was kind of like TRL music videos, right? Where it was just like they were just having this go on, and the rap battles were just epic, and like just people just like destroying each other, like to where fights would almost break out type situation. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're saying flagrant shit at each other, and this is like on TV. Like they're not even like calling them like swear words, right? Like they're just like just totally ripping these dudes, and it was incredible to watch.
His first song that Rough Riders released was Learn Chinese, which featured Wyclef Jean and sampled James Brown's Blind Man Can See It. I don't know if you know this, I would assume you do, but his second single was supposed to be I Got a Love, which was produced by and featured Kanye. Do you know that song?
No, I don't.
So MC Jin featuring Kanye. Listen to it today, it's fine. I Got a Love. But they like delayed that for a year, and then the album eventually came out, and like it didn't seem like they promoted it very well, and like it did okay in the charts, but like it just died. And so he's like, all right, I'm leaving. He went around, he did some other stuff or whatever. He then retired from hip hop, eventually got back into the game, but retired from hip hop, became a born again Christian, Then endorsed Obama when Obama ran for president in 2008.
Kind of
wild. A song called
okay.
Open Letter to Obama, where the proceeds from that were donated to the Obama campaign. And then 2 years ago, he endorsed Andrew Yang for the Democratic presidential primary and released 2 songs, the Drew Yang Gang, That's Who I Hooked Up With, and hashtag 8 Mile Yang. Toured with Yang, then later released Yang for New York, a song and video in support of Yang when he ran for mayor of New York City, which is just crazy that, like, I can see, like, you know, not a lot of Asian Americans in positions of prominence or power.
Yeah.
Yang, and a lot of people loved Yang, so it's cool that Jin's just like, yeah, this is my guy, right? So
it makes perfect sense to me, and it's cool. Like, yeah.
He helped Obama get elected. He was not as successful with Yang, but, you know, that's so it goes.
Yeah, like, you know, you got, like, one of the first Asian candidates for president, so just awesome.
And the last thing is that his catchphrase is Aya, A-I-Y-A, a Chinese interjection roughly equivalent to, oh my gosh. And he refers to his fans as the Aya Fam Bam or the Aya Mani. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was thinking the bike thing is okay. I don't hate that. I think that, like, I watched this minute 6 or 8 times. I didn't notice the bike. I wasn't looking for the bike, but I didn't notice the bike. I think the bike might be hard.
That's fair.
I think Roman's, look at all this potential out here. We could say, like, what does Roman see when what does Roman first comment on? Just like that kind of thing, like potential, promise, blah, 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 something like that. Because I didn't write down a question because I don't have a great question for this.
Make it more general about the things that Roman does say.
Well, I'm going to change the name of the minute first to Aya, because I think it's kind of cool.
Oh, okay. I like that.
It's not the MC Jin minute, but yes. Okay, so how do you want to make it more general? Because I think, like, that's
do a reverse and be like, what does Roman not say when he arrives at the garage? You can say something about potential. You can say something about it's too humid to wear drawers.
Okay.
You know what? Like, you know, give yourself more outs and then pick one goofy one to be like, he does not say this one.
So now, do we want to say what does he not say or what does he not comment on? Because we could say, like, the heat. We could say the cars. We could say, like, the party atmosphere.
Oh, that's kind of interesting, because it's like, he comments on the cars in the garage, right? Because Brian's like, this is Tej's, like, oh, this is cool. He's
but
like,
he doesn't actually comment on him. Roman never says anything.
That's right, then.
Roman, the only lines Roman has in this minute are, it means you're always getting in trouble over female, which is the previous scene. It's so hot and humid I can't even wear no drawers. Look at all this potential out here. So we could just have 3 answers. We could just say the cars, the heat, or the women.
Oh.
And the answer is the cars. I think the heat is probably going to be the easy answer. People are going to think it's the heat, but it's actually the cars.
That's true. Very good. Good tag team operation there. I like that one. That's good.
Because you were even like, oh yeah, of course he talks about the cars. I'm like, no.
No, Brian is saying, like, look at the cars, look at the lifts. They're only a couple months old, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian's like, oh, Buster became a gearhead, right? Like, Buster's like all excited about all this car stuff. And Roman's like, yeah, dude, there's women. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like,
look at this girl's butt.
Yeah. Oh, I also made a note. Featured extras. You see a woman up close in an orange bikini, a blue bikini, and a green bikini. So, yeah.
There's a very quick, but watching this minute 70 times, there's like almost a full like crotch shot in this minute.
Is that the woman who's getting into the tube?
Yeah, that's getting into the, like, floaty. Like, yeah. The camera's nicely positioned to where you get, like, just a slight glimmer of it, but, like, that could be, like, a full ass shot. Like, from behind, dead on, almost.
Well, because, like, what she's doing there is something that no one can make seem graceful, right? Like, getting in from the water into a floaty that, like, even in your best thing, it's just like, oh, like, that still kind of looked awkward. And she doesn't do a bad job. It's just like,
she does a pretty good job, but, like...
Basically wearing no clothing and also on camera, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah, we went with that. I'm glad you guys kept that in the movie.
So from minute 41, what does Roman not comment on when he and Brian arrived at Tej's garage? The answer is the cars, because he does comment on both the heat and the women.
He does. That's
anything
awesome
else of note in this minute you want to comment on?
I couldn't find out what fucking type of Sea-Doo it was, because that's not in the movie card database or anywhere else. I just searched for which model of Sea-Doo it was, and I couldn't find it. But I got the Megaphone model, so I feel good about myself
Internet failed you.
I know. I'm sorry.
All right, Joe, let's take a break and let us bring in Garrett Smith to talk about the first Crank film.
episode number 216, Crank. This episode is brought to you by the Crank Brothers. For all your mountain biking needs, go to crankbrothers.com, currently having their Santa Sends It sale.
Ooh, well, shout out. Well, I mean, this episode comes out after
Yeah,
Christmas, so it might, whatever. But shout out to the Crank Brothers, and welcome back to the show. With us tonight, we have fan favorite and someone who dubbed this series Christmas with the Cranks. Again, Christmas is over. Well, this episode will be out for patrons before Christmas. The other one, I don't know. This week is crazy. I booked and canceled 6 flights today. Not an exaggeration.
Well,
it has been a wild day. But with us tonight, you know him, you love him. He's fan favorite. He couldn't have that name if he's not a fan favorite. Garrett Smith. Hello, Garrett.
Hey, how are you? I'm happy to
Welcome
be back.
back.
Thank you. Listen, Joey doesn't know this, but Joe 2 doesn't know this, but I've been demanding to be redubbed the main feed fan favorite, Garrett Smith, now that I'm on the main one, baby. But he won't have it. Joey's having none.
No. That's too many words. It's too many.
Too many words. Come on, listen to me say it. My beautiful game show host voice. Fan favorite, main feed fan favorite, Garrett Smith. It just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, you even edited it yourself, man. That was
you're
bad.
right. I did. I messed it up.
Well, we're here to talk about Crank, and then we are going to come back on Friday to talk about Crank High Voltage. But Garrett and I had both seen these movies before.
Yeah.
Joe, this was new to you. Is that correct?
Brand new. Yeah, never seen them.
Oh, you had never
before. I was
seen
saving
these?
them.
Joe,
No.
I feel like these are Joe 2 movies in my mind. I was like,
Yes. So I say this to Joey a lot. Like when we started this project, there was a lot of movies that people were like, "Have you ever seen Crank?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "You should go watch it." And I'm like, "Well, we're eventually gonna watch it on Too Fast. So like, if I missed it by now, I can't watch it until it's time to watch it. So that's why I've been holding off. But yes. This is my first time experiencing them.
Well, this is good. I'm gonna appreciate getting someone's like fresh take on these movies in 2021 because this was like my 3rd time watching them, I think.
Did you see them in theaters? Were they in theaters?
I do remember when they came out. I distinctly remember seeing the trailer, especially for the first one, in movie theaters.
Okay, they were both in theaters. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I was a teenager at the time. What, 2006? Is that the first one? Yeah.
06 and 09, yes.
So I was like 18 or 19 when the first one came out, and I distinctly remember being like, this looks dumb as shit. I'm not going to see this movie. And then, just a few years later, getting very excited about dumb as shit movies and wanting to see it.
Your tastes evolved and matured and got better. Yeah.
So I did not see either of these in theaters.
I think that was part of it for me too, Garrett. I think that I had a lot of friends that really enjoyed these as actual action movies, and I had no respect for their taste. And that deterred me from watching them at the time. Like, I remember, like, some people being like, those are fucking awesome, and me being like, I don't trust you at all.
Yeah.
Like, not watching it the way that I'm sure that you and I enjoy it now.
Yeah, and we can talk about that too, but I do think there's like an undercurrent of, isn't this fucking awesome, that type of person will watch a movie like this and go like, yeah, this fucking rules, not realizing that I think it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek,
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Well, so the interesting thing is going to be that we have all watched both movies, and we're only talking about the first one here.
Yeah.
Because I think that you're right. With the first one is like, hey, look at this crazy shit, but like we're smart about it. And then the second one just like, what if we weren't smart about it anymore?
Yes,
what if we just did dumb shit?
Yeah.
So I even double checked because these are both. I wanted to see if they were made by different people. I knew that Neville Dean and Taylor directed both, but they also wrote both. So it's not like they're just like, hey, guy who like doesn't know this character, this world or whatever, write a fan script or whatever. No, these are Neville Dean and Taylor joints through and through. So Joe, if you don't know them, they did Gamer, which is great, which I thought was dumb, but like again, it's just like this. Like I'm like, oh, that looks dumb, but it's like is it Russell Crowe in a video game? Have you seen that, Garrett?
I have seen that, and I understand why you're making that mistake, but no, it is the living B-movie legend Gerard Butler that started.
Oh, yes.
Very similar. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, British as opposed to Australian or whatever, right?
Yes. I don't know.
That might not be right. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I feel like in the context of that movie, it doesn't really matter. I like that movie. I don't love that movie. I feel like, we're going to talk about this for sure. Neville Dean and Taylor go way up their own asses with like their stylistic stuff the deeper you get into their career. And Gamer is like a nearly indecipherable movie in my opinion. It is fun and interesting, and I think has gotten more interesting actually with time, but it is an almost incomprehensible movie in my opinion.
Yeah, so it was one where I'm like, this looks dumb, and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know that they did it, and then I watched it for the first time a couple years ago, and I was like, okay, I really like that. And they also did Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, the second Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie,
yeah, that's where he pees fire and stuff. It's like very much a Neville Dean and Taylor movie.
He drinks alcohol, and then in like sort of the nether realm, he's got his flaming skull and he pisses fire. Yeah, it's great. So what's weird about those movies, we talked about them obviously on Cage Club, is that the first one is like kind of a straightforward mid-2000s Marvel adaptation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is fine. Like, nobody is not wowing anybody, but like, it's cool. Like, you know, Nicolas Cage has a big martini glass full of jelly beans that he kind of drinks, kind of eats, whatever the right verb is.
Yeah.
Then they get brought in for the second one. And in the first, like, 90 seconds, they're like, fuck everything you know about the first movie. That's all horse shit. This is the new backstory. And then it's like balls to the wall. It's basically like this, but Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
With Idris Elba. Okay, this is interesting. This is cool. I don't know if it's good. Like, I think the first one is probably, quote unquote, better. But the second one is more fun and, like, just
memorable.
Because it's them, yeah.
Yep. And I think that movie, you know, probably has more studio involvement, and so it's also not as hyped up on their kind of like hyperkinetic style. Like that movie is a little more of like a quote unquote like normal looking movie, you know?
I have a question. Do they actually just smoke meth to make these movies? Because it feels like that.
Oh, I mean, so like one of the crazy things that I remember about the Crank movies is seeing some behind the scenes footage. I don't know where I would have seen this, but where like when you're watching like a car chase in these movies, often both of them are on rollerblades passing a camera back and forth to each other as they rollerblade alongside the speeding cars. Like they actually are like adrenaline junkies basically, and they incorporate that kind of stuff into their filmmaking, and it's half of why their movies look like they do. Because they're made by two guys that are actually fucking running around like in the middle of an action scene with a camera in their hand. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't convey this like, you know, these are those things that like sometimes we see a lot of movies where we're like, oh, they were trying to do this, and you can see that this definitely feels like you just did a bunch of blow and then you're thrown into a movie.
Yeah.
And that's hard to convey.
The other cool thing about that, it's not as fun as that, but what in terms of filmmaking, what's cool about it is that apparently for a lot of these movies, they're both filming at the same time. Mm-hmm. So one of them is doing a wide shot, and one is doing a close-up.
Okay.
So instead of having like coverage or trying to like reshoot of things or whatever, they're just both filming everything. And so like whatever they get, they're able to use, which is like crazy, but also kind of cool.
Yeah.
Apparently they shot, what was the number? I know this is for the second movie, but they shot 300 hours in 30 days of filming,
Jesus
which
Christ.
is, I know it's kind of hard to put that in terms for people who like don't necessarily think about movies, but like that means they're shooting on average 10 hours of footage a day.
Yeah, without like cut, cost, like 10 hours of just film.
Joey, do you know if they were shot on film or digitally? Like, this is the era where it could have been either, really. And I assume with that kind of amount of footage, they were shooting digitally, maybe?
Well, I think the second one, for sure, would be digital, because it kind of looks like shit. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, the first one, I don't know, and that was the staff for the second one. So I don't know how much whatever. But I would imagine the second one's on digital, because they also went to, like, Comic-Con or whatever. They're like, we shot this movie in HD. And just, it's funny to think about like how times have changed. Or like it was a selling point. Like, guys, we shot this movie in high definition. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's wild. So they also now, much like a lot of creative, like we're recording this on the night that The Matrix Resurrections is now out in theaters and on HBO Max. The Wachowskis have split up. They're making that, you know, only one of them made that movie. Only one Coen brother is making the new Macbeth movie. Like, these parting of ways of these like teams that have made multiple movies together. Neville Dean and Taylor have now since, I guess, split up, or maybe they're just doing, I don't think they have like animosity, but Brian Taylor did Mom and Dad, another Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, which I dig that movie. I like that movie a lot.
That is good. And when I saw that at Fantastic Fest, and when I was there was a Q&A, and he was there with the kid, the son in that movie.
Oh, sure.
It was like midnight, and the kid was still awake, and just like, they're like, what's it like working with Nicolas Cage? And he's like, he's crazy. So like, everyone loved that, right? The question I had for him, I was like, it wasn't even a question. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not a question, but can you just please promise us that you will never stop making movies with Nicolas Cage? He's like, you got it. And like, just everybody went crazy, because like Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, and Mom and Dad maybe aren't great, but they're just fun and insane because they're these movies with Nicolas Cage, right?
Yeah, and I think that they seem to know how to utilize him in the sort of like the meme of Nicolas Cage, like, well, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They know how to
Although
take that
the mom and dad, the hokey pokey scene, I'm just like,
Dude, no, I really fucking like that scene, actually. I like, when you see that in the trailer, they're selling you, they're marketing to you, it's another Crazy Cage movie. And then when you see it in the context of the movie, that's like him having like a middle-aged breakdown. I don't know. There's actually something very interesting about that scene, I think.
Yeah, there's a scene, just really quickly, Joe, where he is, it's about the sort of, it's a crazy movie kind of like this, where like people are turning into sort of like fast zombies, and like he's losing his mind, but he's singing the hokey pokey while he destroys a pool table with a sledgehammer. And like up to that point in the movie, like the only thing in the world that this like 45-year-old father of two seemed to care about was this pool table. Like, I want to get this built, and then he has his brain snaps and he just goes nuts, right? So
well, but that's like, okay, that's actually what's great about that scene is you see it in the trailer and you know the premise of the movie is this guy loses his mind. So you go like, oh, okay, they got this great scene where we watch him lose his mind in a very Nick Cage fashion. But then when you get to that scene in the context of the movie, that's a flashback to before the crazy stuff happens. That's just him having a meltdown as a middle-aged man. And I just thought that was like kind of brilliant in a weird way. I know that's like half a marketing thing that I'm talking about being brilliant, but I did really enjoy that about it.
The other point I want to make about Neveldine and Taylor, which I did not know, is that Mark Neveldine is making a new movie next year, I think, called Panama, which I never heard of, but is notable for this podcast because it stars Mr. Cole Hauser, aka Carter Verone.
No
He's
way.
top billed in a new Neveldine movie. So
hey, and we got to talk about him in relation to Crank, by the way. Please remind me to talk about Verone.
Cole Hauser and Crank?
Chev Chelios is kind of in the Fast and Furious universe, and Verone is the villain in this movie versus Verona, the villain
Ricky
of Too
Verona.
Fast,
Yes,
right?
It's Verona and then Verone.
Versus Verone.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't stop thinking about how, like, at a certain point at the end of, what is it, Furious 6, when he first appears, you're like, wait, is Chev Chelios literally about to walk into the Fast and Furious universe? Because you just see that image of him, like, getting out of a car after killing a guy. And I don't know, Verona. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. So yes, let's talk about Crank. So Joe, what did you think of the first Crank film?
It felt erratic.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I don't know if I like or can follow this because sometimes these movies break my brain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the consistency of it being so erratic as opposed to just being parts of it feeling like that was eventually comforting in the sense that, like, I was like, look, all of this shit is happening. It's all crazy. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, I'm not, like, getting or missing anything in this, because it's just happening so fast. And, like, in this weird pace that, like, and, like, the camera's jitter, like, sometimes you feel, like, what is it? Like, sometimes it's first person, sometimes you're, like, right beside them. The camera just moves in weird ways. The angles are weird, because I guess they're both on rollerblades.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it just feels so strange. I was like, okay, like, eventually I bought in, and I was like, and they lean into it, too. Like, they're like, look, this is what you're getting. And so, like, it's never, like, pumps the brakes, and it's like, well, wait, but, like, in reality, this is what... No, it's always just, like, it's just chaos. I came around and I was like, yeah, I fucking love this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that phrase that you use, lean into it, is basically the thing to describe the entirety of all of this. That they are leaning into everything for better or worse, right? They're just like, this is what we're doing, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, but that's what this is the movie we're making. So, deal with it.
If you don't like what they're doing, just give it 2 minutes and they're going to be on something completely different anyways.
Totally.
So it doesn't matter.
I always forget that there's that car chase through the mall in this movie, which is a ton of fun and really well done and looks really cool. And I forget that it's in this movie every time because it's just like one of 100 crazy things that happens.
Yeah, and then he drives it up an escalator, gets out, walks off the top of it when it's CGI'd, and just jumps down.
Yeah. I actually, so like revisiting this, like in my memory, this is, I mean, there's only 2 of them, but this is the lesser of the Crank movies.
I agree. Yeah.
But revisiting them, I liked this one much more than I liked the sequel, which I know we'll talk about that next episode. But the thing that I sort of thought in my brain was like, well, that first one is like so sloppy and messy. It doesn't quite like get there. It doesn't like gel together or whatever. And rewatching them, I actually think this one's a really, really well-made movie because it has that like kinetic chaos that they're kind of known for. But rewatching it, it feels like storyboarded. It feels like I'm watching a moving comic book more than I'm watching like Paul Greengrass, if the distinction I'm making is clear there. I don't know how to describe it, but I was never lost in the chaos of this movie.
Also
where
true. Yeah.
The sequel, I get lost in some of the chaos of that. This actually feels, even though it's crazy looking and chaotic, it actually feels like it makes sense. Like they really worked
linear.
hard. Yeah, like they worked very hard to, even though we are going to split the screen 3 different ways for 6 consecutive scenes, like we storyboarded what's going to be in each of those frames so that like it all lines up and makes sense. I don't know. It worked for me a lot this time.
In my head, the first one was better, but the second one was more fun.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the first one is better. I'm not sure which is more fun. Like, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if we necessarily need one. I think the second one just does more things. I think there might be more things I like and more things I hate in the second one. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But the first one, I think, is like, it's kind of like the proof of concept. It's like, what if speed, but a guy's body?
That's exactly what Rachel described it as. She was like, this seems like it's speed, but a person. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what this is.
So if you have not seen Crank, and unfortunately, like, it feels like this should be streaming on every platform with ads. Like, why would you, like, but it's only on the Roku. The first one is only on the Roku channel with ads for free. You have to pay to rent it anywhere else, and you have to pay to rent the second one anywhere. So it's not as accessible as it feels like this kind of movie should be, but also, you know, rights, who knows what. But the premise is that we learn throughout the movie, Jason Statham is a professional hitman who was hired to kill this guy. He chooses not to kill the guy, and then someone in his gang decides to use that opportunity to make his move up the ranks. This all sounds like it's way more formal than the movie actually is.
Yeah,
he's going to make, you know, use that as opportunity to, you know, take Jason Statham's place in the gang or whatever. And so he injects him with what they call the Chinese shit, which means that from the time that he gets injected, he has only 60 minutes to live, right? Because his heart's going to stop in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Unless he gets like a certain chemical that he injects into his heart.
Epinephrine or epinephrine or epinephrine. There's another one that they takes at the end, which is ephedrine. Yes.
Yeah, basically adrenaline is what they're saying.
Yes.
Like if he keeps adrenaline pumping through his veins, then he gets more than 60 minutes.
He can counteract it. Yeah. He can counteract the receptor. Yeah.
And so he spends the entire movie trying to get vengeance, but also just literally trying to stay alive. And so it's just, you know, like a high-speed adrenaline chase of ways to stay alive. And so he's shocking himself. He's doing crazy things. He's taking nasal spray. He's doing everything he can just to like stay alive and get vengeance and figure out who tried to kill him and see if he can kill him back. And like, that's the premise of Crank. All the while, Jason Statham doing absolutely batshit insane things, usually while wearing a hospital gown with no underwear.
Yeah. He gives a great physical performance in this movie. And it's like, to me, this is like one of the kind of quintessential Statham performances, actually, because like Chev feels like one of his most distinctive characters, and it like takes full advantage of the kind of physical actor that he is. He's willing to like learn the choreography and do this kind of stuff in camera for like these long, even though it's like such a crazy movie where the camera's constantly cutting, you can tell that it's actually these like longer takes that they were doing of these like crazy sequences, you know?
And he did all of his own stunts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was in it. Like, he wanted to do this.
And it's kind of hard to act like you're completely yacked out all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't play well a lot of the time on screen. And like, he's selling that he is completely tweaked this entire movie.
And you got to show up and fucking do that all the time, right? It's like
it's tiring.
Yeah, for us it's like a 90-minute movie, but for him it's probably like a 30-day shoot where he's got to like get himself to that place every time the camera's rolling.
It's insane. Yeah.
Like you're saying, I watched in theaters last night the new West Side Story, and I'm thinking, like, acting is hard enough, but then add in singing and dancing. It's the same thing here. It's like, acting is hard enough, but then to do your own stunts and to seem like you're out of your mind, you got, like, mere minutes to live. Like, it's just like, how do you keep all this in mind and make it believable? I mean, it's not, like, they're not trying to win Oscars for this movie, but you still want to, make a good performance and, like, have people, like, be invested and, like, not get taken out by, like, I thought he was supposed to be crazy. Why is he, like, pretty calm in this scene or whatever, right? So, like, there's a lot that has to happen, and he's doing a good job selling it.
It's also, I mean, this is probably the closest we'll ever get to a GTA like movie adaptation.
Yep.
That's like
100%.
And I think they are almost literally doing that. They want us to think about video games. They like do the credits in like a video game style.
The maps to their houses is when I was like, this is GTA on PlayStation 1.
Yep.
Like when you were overhead, the car, like before we had 3D GTA, this is exactly what they're like trying to show us.
There were apparently also like lots of GTA references peppered throughout that like I'm familiar with, but I've only really played 4, so like I don't know. But like there's a lot of like I think character names or place names or just like things or outfits or whatever. So yeah,
that seems right. Because yeah, I mean it really feels like it is almost literally that. It's like what if you were to adapt it into a movie? What would you have to do? You'd have to find a reason for someone to just roam around a city doing like crazy shit to people they walk by, because that's how people play GTA. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what they did. It's like it's really weird to think about it that way, but I had a lot of fun watching it, like thinking about it in that context.
One of the things on that specific note that I like is that he's constantly stealing cars and then just like leaving them.
Yes.
Like you never see that in a movie. It's like, yeah, granted, like, you know, somebody will steal a car and they'll like pull up somewhere and then like the movie will continue on. But like, no, he like steals like a cop's motorcycle and just like smashes it into a pole and then like leaves it on the sidewalk and like,
which is exactly how you do it in GTA.
Exactly.
Like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, he does it with guns too. When a gun runs out, he literally drops it, picks one off a dead body, and then and at one point, is it in this one? Well, now I get him confused when I'm talking about these kind of little details. But like at one point, he picks a gun off a dead body and compares it to the one already in his hand. And decides which one is the better gun to continue using.
Yeah, man.
That is straight up video game shit. It's like, this is one of the better video game adaptations, and it's technically not one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I will say that we're giving Stephen credit, and he deserves the credit, but this was written originally in 2003. I don't know if either of you know this. I don't know, Garrett, if you read this, but anybody want to guess who this was written to star?
Oh, God. I don't know.
I'm going to say it was Tom Cruise just because.
I don't know. Who?
Garrett, any guesses?
No, I don't actually. I don't know in 2003 who you would get to do this other than Jason Statham.
So I don't know when Statham really became, like, I've seen Statham movies, I think maybe from the I mean, Statham is also in Snatch, right? So that's 2002. So he's like in the Guy Ritchie world.
Yeah, and The Transporter, I think, is probably around this time as well.
So spoilers related in the lab, we will be doing those. I don't know anything about those. I have not seen those.
I like those movies. The first one is good. The sequels are worth watching.
Okay, cool.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Suppose after the fact on How Did This Get Made, Brian Taylor was on. He said that they wanted to get Nicolas Cage. He couldn't. But that's not who it was written for, though.
Right.
And I think that's also kind of after the fact, because like Cage wasn't Crazy Cage in 2003. No, like, that was a different thing.
Yeah, because he's coming off like Gone in 60 Seconds at that point, right?
Yeah, so 2003, he's like Matchstick Men. He's Adaptation. He's still doing like some of his better movies. It's only when he hits the VOD era in like 2007 where it's just like, oh, this guy will do anything. They said that this is according to IMDb, who knows if this is true or not, but they said that they wrote it with Johnny Knoxville in mind.
I mean, that makes sense to me, actually. That totally makes sense to me.
And Johnny Knoxville looks like the character in like GTA 3.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I remember that.
Have you guys seen, or have you even heard of this movie Skip Trace?
No.
That stars Johnny Knoxville and Jackie Chan.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I bring it up in this context is it basically is utilizing Johnny Knoxville in the same way that Crank would have, which is like, okay, so what if we got Jackie Chan, like the world's greatest prop action star, and Johnny Knoxville, the world's greatest human prop, and put them in a movie together, and it's just Jackie Chan turning Johnny Knoxville like into a weapon with which to wield, basically. It's not a great movie, actually. I wish it were better, because that premise is actually pretty fucking great.
Yeah, it's a great premise.
Jackie Chan is like much older. This movie's only a couple years old. He's like an old man and can't do a lot of what he used to.
2016. How have I never even heard of this?
Dude, this is Rennie Harlan made this movie, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he did, Joe. To put you in context for that one, that he did The Long Kiss Goodnight, also Deep Blue Sea, and Die Hard 2.
Makes sense. Okay.
Anyway, not a great movie, but kind of worth watching. Jackie Chan sings Adele's Rolling in the Deep in that movie. Worth watching just for that scene. Yeah, but I do love that idea of like, hey, Johnny Knoxville is known for putting himself through these physical stunts. Put him in movies that utilize that. You know what I mean? Like, do a Crank with him. Do a classic Jackie Chan movie with him where you can have him be the guy that actually gets hit by shit,
It feels like people should be making more of these kind of movies. I know that they're hard to make, and I'm not trying to like undersell anything or like be like everybody should make these movies, but it feels like there are not enough like kind of crazy movies. Like I feel like Lee Whannell's Upgrade is kind of close, like in this ballpark,
Upgrade,
maybe.
Yeah,
totally.
Upgrade's Henry, cool. I felt like
Hardcore Henry, and I feel like I don't know, like if you did it today, it might be like Frank Grillo, maybe, right? Like if you need somebody who's kind of like not a superstar.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe Scott Adkins could do something like this, right?
They're basically interchangeable by this point anyway, right?
Yeah,
They're just like, hey, you need a straight-to-Netflix action movie that's kind of cool? Get one of those two.
Yep. I really did enjoy Crank again, rewatching it. The thing that's weird about both of these movies, and we'll talk way more about with the sequel, is just like the sense of humor of these movies is to like basically intentionally be in poor taste. In this movie, I was able to enjoy it despite thinking there were a few jokes that really had not aged well. I mean, a lot of it has not aged well, but some of it I was able to just kind of be like, yeah, but this is still kind of funny in the context of this movie. Like that whole sequence in the bathroom stall in that bar that he goes to in the beginning of this movie, where it's him versus that black gang.
Yes.
Is kind of fun. Like, it still kind of works for me. There's something really funny about that scene, despite the fact that it is very much in poor taste. You know what I mean? It's it is constantly pushing the boundaries of poor taste. The second movie maybe goes overboard with this, and we can talk about it when we get to it. But I was kind of impressed with how this, I guess I felt like walked a line with that.
Like, there's things where he invokes Al-Qaeda to get old ladies to attack a brown cabbie, which like was never in good taste, but is so offensive and so over the top that like they know it's a joke.
Yes. It feels like the joke of that could be on me, the audience member, that would react like the old lady. Like, it's old ladies that react to it and start beating the guy up, right? Like, it does feel like the joke is on the people that would react that way, not the guy that's
making the joke.
Yeah.
Whereas for the second one, somebody I follow on Letterboxd, the entirety of his review said, finally a movie for people who think truck nuts are funny. Right? Like, it's like, it kind of, it goes overboard in that regard.
Yes. But I did feel like this movie sort of walked that line mostly successfully. And so I was able to still like pretty much enjoy it. Because I think the photography in this is really great, especially like the finale, when they get to that like, I don't know, that like balcony estate
like
or whatever.
Right?
There's a lot of beautiful photography in that where you can tell they're actually up on a rooftop with that wonderful skyline behind them, and they're really shooting that stuff. They're, the second movie has none of that. The second movie looks like it's, I don't know, shot in like a warehouse. This movie is like actually out on the streets and has like a lot of really wonderful locations, you know?
Because like the first movie, even like they're obviously like fudging it a little bit, and there's like wires they probably CGI'd out, but like there's the helicopter fight at the very end where it's some of it is just like, oh no, like they're actually up there. Some of it is like clearly like just like creative angles where just like he's on the helicopter but it's like 8 feet above the ground or whatever. But like others like, oh no, he's actually like in the sky. So they have money. I wonder, I actually looked up. See if the budgets are on Box Office Mojo.
I was curious about that actually, because
first movie budget of $12 million.
Oh God, that's nothing.
And you got to imagine, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm just pulling a number out of the air, but like $3 million of that is just the helicopter sequence. You know what I'm saying? Like that's got to be expensive.
Apparently, Crank High Voltage budget $20 million, which feels like that went like I understand that sequels are going to be more money, but like. Where'd that go?
They had to build that big foam fucking Jason Statham, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes, which we will talk about. So a couple of the people I want to point out in this movie. So his girlfriend is played by Amy Smart, who is great in this movie. I mean, she's in a thankless role here in both movies, but she is really good in this. We got Dwight Yoakam as his doctor.
Dwight Yoakam is the MVP of both of these movies. He's so funny in these movies. I love that he's just casually hanging out in these like totally hyper-charged up movies. His energy is so great in these.
And he's also like patient in a way that no doctor should be patient. I don't mean it like as a pun on like Dr. Patience, but like he's just truly, all right, Chev, let's get through this. All right, I'm going to help you. Like I'm cutting my vacation short, but I'm going to help you.
But he's a seedy doctor, right? So it feels, but he does feel like he's his only friend in the world kind of situation, right?
And, Amy Smart, to your point about her having a thankless role here, one of the things that I think she's doing really successfully is like there is some shit in both of these movies that should be very uncomfortable to watch, but she is doing a good job of having so much fun within her character that it makes those things not uncomfortable. It makes those things entertaining. And I think that's actually probably a very difficult thing to pull off, to like walk that line as well as an actress.
That first, like, we are gonna have sex in the middle of Chinatown scene starts out so uncomfortably rapey. And I was like, oh God, what is this? And then like, but you're right, it's her selling it.
She
and
sells
having fun with
that
the character.
Yes, she sells that is a fun, funny thing that's happening. You know what I mean? And
yes,
if it weren't for her performance, that would be impossible to watch. You know,
yes,
that wouldn't hold up at all.
So I will share some good news from that scene, that they interviewed the woman who is the body double actress, because Amy Smart did not get naked for these movies, but you see her boobs in both movies because like it's just, she's an actual, I mean, I think she's got naked, whatever. We don't need to get into the weeds of like nudity in Hollywood, but there's the body double actress of this woman, Laura Grady. Quote, "My most fun moment, I guess from any movie, was on Crank. Jason Statham made me feel so comfortable. He said something so charming like, 'Don't worry about it, I got you, love.' He didn't make me feel stupid or naked, and I had to be completely topless, and it was this crazy scene outside with all these background actors. But I was like, this is not a bad day. I'm taking my clothes off for Jason Statham. I'll be okay today." And then I guess they liked working with her so much, or she looked, I don't know, who knows what, but like they tried to get her back for the second movie, because again, Amy Smart gets naked in the second movie, but she was pregnant. They're like, we can't have a pregnant body double, because like what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's true.
So apparently, you know, it's a rapey scene in the context of the movie that ultimately turns out okay, whatever, but apparently the behind the scenes filming of it was a delight for everyone involved. So cool.
Yeah, you always like to hear that the actors didn't feel uncomfortable in those moments, because I am to understand that that is often not a great situation to be in as an actor. But yeah, I think she's great in these. She's like really wonderful, and she was like having a moment in like the early 2000s. She was in everything for like 5 or 6 years around this time. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I don't. I remember her face so vividly.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in these movies that I was like, holy shit, is it this person? And I'm like, yeah, it is.
She was in Rat Race. She's in the movie that Brian is putting out Friday as we record this. I think maybe the most recent, or one of the most recent episodes of High School Slumber Party, Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. She's in that.
Road Trip, Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, yeah.
The Battle of Shaker Heights with Shia LaBeouf, the Project Greenlight movie, which nobody knows, but I mean, people know, but you know.
Yeah, she had like, you know, I mean, it's unfortunate that actresses only ever get to pop for the 3 years that everyone thinks they're pretty, but you know, she packed those couple of years with a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, Butterfly Effect. She was in a bunch of stuff.
I also want to point out Glenn Howerton, Dennis from Always Sunny, in here as a doctor in a great scene.
Awesome, but like he just shows up and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yep. And then Joe, I don't know if you recognize him, because I don't know how big of a role he is, but the Haitian cabbie.
Oh no, I don't know that one. Who was the Haitian cabbie?
So he's played by Eddie Gathegi. I'm probably butchering that name. I'm so sorry. He's from the first 2 Twilight movies as Laurent de Ravine. So I don't know if he's a vampire or something or other. Laurent. Maybe Laurent. I don't know. I copied and said Lauren, but maybe Laurent.
Oh, yes. I did not know that that's Laurent from the... Okay.
Because there's not a lot of black people in Twilight, right? So
no, there's one, and Stephanie Meyer tried to get rid of him so hard.
That's him.
Yeah. She was like, God damn it, I wanted this to be John Stamos so bad. That's like what I remember about.
Oh my God.
Oh, by the way, speaking of John Stamos, I tried to get a picture. I'm not sure which image I'm going to use for the second movie, but I tried to get an image of Amy Smart's mugshot from the second movie. We'll talk about that. Okay. But I Google Crank High Voltage Amy Smart mugshot, and the second image on Google Images was about a woman who looks like Amy Smart who tried to extort John Stamos.
Oh.
And I was like, what? So like on Amy Smart's, not on, like it's not tied to her, but like if you Google her name and High Voltage and mugshot, like this woman who like looks like her, just like, you know, an attractive blonde woman who tried to extort John Stamos. So I'm like, I don't like, this is a weird fact. I don't think I can bring it up because like, how can I bring it up? But then you brought up John Stamos.
Sorry,
so
yeah.
No.
There you go.
Fit in perfectly. So thank you.
You're welcome.
But you were excited. Who did you recognize in this movie?
Oh, I know exactly.
Pedro.
Oh, well, yes. From
Napoleon Dynamite is like the whole.
Oh. There's somebody different too.
Yeah,
because also in this movie.
Yeah, you guys are. I think the person
I know we're talking about, but I was getting there last.
We're all dancing around Chester Bennington, right?
No, well, no. There's a couple like punk.
Wait,
like
Chester was in the first movie.
He's in both of these movies.
Yeah,
is he the guy that tells him about the nasal spray? Is that him?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh fuck! I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
Yeah.
Now that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and I believe he's at the horse track.
He is
in the sequel. Yeah,
but he has to rub them.
Yeah, dude. As soon as he popped up on screen, my partner like perked up and was like, "Is that Linkin Park?"
Yes.
I was like, "Yeah, I think it is." He must be friends with these directors.
Oh fuck! That's so awesome.
And I assume that's how Glenn Howerton is in this movie. I don't think they're like super fans of Glenn Howerton. Like I assume they're friends. You know what I mean?
Probably. Because I mean, like Sonny was on by this point, but like for a 2 years maybe. So it's not like he's like
super early.
It's like an indie thing. Yeah. So maybe they just like the show. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. The important thing. So Pedro, Napoleon Dynamite is one of the very few movies that I could not finish. I'm just this is not.
But I'm saying, but just seeing him not be Pedro when Napoleon Dynamite was like I honestly have never seen that person in another movie.
But we have been burying the lead here in terms of this podcast because we have Hector playing, not a guy named Hector, playing Warehouse Rooftop Hood. So
I thought his name was going to be Hector. God damn.
No, because Noel Guglielmi, who plays the character of Hector in like every movie he's in, doesn't even have a name in this.
But he's in it a couple times. I saw him in the background with the sunglasses at the beginning. I was like, that's fucking Hector. And I thought that we were just going to get him there, but no, we get him on the rooftop too.
Oh, this fucking guy. All right. I was like,
he's Hector in the first movie. Yeah. And in six. Also in that scene, though, because I'm like, who is this guy? Francis Capra plays the leader of that warehouse gang. He's Weevil in Veronica Mars. So he's like this like head biker that Veronica Mars, that Kristen Bell deals with in Veronica Mars TV show. But I'm like, why do I know this guy? Oh, it's Weevil. Okay, got it. Cool.
Interesting.
The cast is not like stacked, but it's stacked with like, oh, that guy.
And it's all, and the movie's moving so fast, and there's so many characters that like you keep having that happen in my brain at least. That like I keep passing someone going like, why the fuck do I recognize them? Why the fuck do I recognize them? And it's like, but like they're gone. That's it. They're dead, or he runs away from them, or whatever. Like
There was also, I don't know if either of you thought this too, because again, my hair blindness, I'm not good at faces or whatever, but there's the guy in the car toward the end playing video games, and I was like, holy shit, it's Andy Samberg, and then like he turned his head, and I'm like, oh, that's not Andy Samberg. But like, from like a couple angles, I'm like, oh, that's Andy Samberg. I'm like, maybe, why not? But it's not him.
I would have enjoyed that if it was.
Joe, do you have a favorite moment or a favorite stunt or a favorite way that he revitalizes himself in this movie?
So I actually really do like the Chester Bennington part, because the whole time when the doctor's telling him go get ephedrine, I was thinking that like ephedrine was and probably still is just medicine that they would give to like people with asthma. So like when he goes to the pharmacy and he's like asking for like injections of ephedrine, I'm like, just go buy what it was, like Broncaid or whatever. Like that is what it is. Like he could just find it on the shelf at that point. So like I thought that was a really cool thing. And then him just like crushing nasal spray as one squeeze, like he just bottles it. I really
doubled both nostrils at one time.
Yeah, and he just like both nostrils, whole bottle, and then just drops them as he goes. I found that really, really enjoyable for me. But there's a lot of great ones. That was just like one that resonated and stuck with me really hard.
Garrett, do you have a favorite?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. For some reason my brain always goes to the second movie when I'm thinking about like all the little.
Well, the second one just has the crazier iterations of this, right?
Yeah. Because like this one has like the things like the static electricity and stuff, which I think is like pretty funny. He's just like rubbing up, or is that the second one too?
That's
isn't
the
it?
second one.
The second one.
He does get shocked in the first one. He does take the paddles.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Has the guy from Always Sunny just like give him a full.
Sends him into the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I wrote down is just like a line from this movie that really made me laugh. He tells somebody, he says, "Don't pop a blood vessel, you little penis."
Yes, I did hear that.
Which, in his accent, is such a funny series of words.
The disses, like, back to what you were saying about, like, the jokes and the disses, they feel uncomfortable because of, like, time and age and stuff like that, but at the same time, they also feel very appropriate for this specific movie. Like, how he's just, like, constantly, like, whatever, dick, and, like, there's, like, all kinds of, like, like, oh, you weren't tight since your brother fucked you in the 3rd grade, or something. Like, you know, all this, like, terrible shit, and you're just like, yeah, but that kind of feels like what Jason Statham would be saying here.
Well, that's what's hard. It's like, it's hard to figure out what's dated because this is from 2006 and what's dated because this is just like this kind of comedy, right? Like some of it's going to age poorly just because time. Some of it might not age well because just like whatever. But then some of it's just like, oh, like they knew what they were doing there.
Yeah.
It's a weird murky ground here.
And I do agree with Joe that in this one in particular, some of that like boundary pushing stuff feels natural to the characters that are saying it, and so I'm a little less bothered by it because it's like, well, I don't think the writers want me to think that this is what they think, that this is just like what this character is saying to somebody. Where in the second one, it's like characters go out of their way to do and say things, and I'm like, all right, what are we doing? Like, there feels like there's an agenda at this point.
One of my favorite, it would never make the second one because it's just not audacious enough, but one of my favorite ways to get him like going in the first movie is he just grills his hand in a waffle iron.
Oh yeah.
God.
It's pretty cool. It's just like it's very low stakes compared to where we wind up. It's just like, yeah, okay, I can see like that can give you like a charge for like, I don't know, a minute maybe.
I like that whole part where he has to be calm to get her out of the apartment, but also cannot be calm. The idea that setting the clock on your microwave is death resonated so deep with me. Like, you're just like, yeah, that's probably like the most boring thing in the entire universe is like trying to figure out how to set the clock.
I don't know if you know this, but Joe and Rachel for a while
oh yeah,
whenever I go over their house, so they have like, a couple clocks that, most clocks now are just internet updated. Everything's connected to the internet. Everything just automatically updates. But like microwaves or stoves or whatever, there's just clocks that are just, you manually have to change that.
Yep.
And they would just not change them for daylight savings. They would just remember like, oh no, we're an hour off because like, we don't want to spend the 15 seconds it takes to like go through.
I used to be this person when I was a teenager. I would never reset my car's clock. I would just go, that's just an hour later.
Yeah, but this is Joe and Rachel like a couple years before they get married, like having lived together for a couple like it's just like this is just we're whatever. The fact that, equating setting the microwave clock to is death is like, Joe knows where they're coming from. Like it might not be that extreme, but like it's very on brand to hate that.
Yeah. Well, this is also where I think that like Statham is such a perfect casting choice for like this particular role, where like something that he's really good at making funny is like him being so angry that his girlfriend's voice message is so long and annoying. And then when it finally clicks over to the voicemail, immediately calming down and being like, hey, babe, just had to ask you a question. Like he's so good at like being so heightened and then immediately coming back down. He really gets the comedy of this in a way that I don't think other like action stars are good at.
Charming. He has a lot of charm.
Yeah.
He's more of an actor than an action star in that regard, right? Like he can exhibit range as opposed to just like, I'm doing comedy now or whatever.
Yeah.
There's the other, the element of that's kind of strange. That's like, sort of commendable, but like unnecessary is that in the first movie, Amy Smart does not know that he's a professional hitman.
Right.
And she thinks that he's a video game designer.
That joke made me laugh so hard when she reveals that that's what she thinks this man that she's dating does. This man that walks around exclusively in tracksuits, swearing and screaming at people.
Yeah, that looks and sounds like Jason Statham and acts like Jason Statham. It's just like, what's the least likely believable job? Video game designer. Yeah, that's him, right? So you can go into the first movie like that she knows, right? Like there's like this added kind of like emotional stakes and like things in the movie that like don't have to be there for this kind of movie, but like work, but isn't needed. Like I kind of respect that. It's just like, oh, okay, like you did a thing. Cool.
Well, and it's like when you were trying to describe the plot earlier and you were like, oh, like this almost like sounds more complicated than it is. That is what is good about this script, is that it's all delivered in this way where like it's actually really basic and it's not hard to follow at all. But sort of like Tokyo Drifter, when we did that, it's like there actually are a lot of like intricacies to like what's happening in the plot of this movie. They just like don't really matter to like what you're watching in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's a good script. It's got little pieces of depth like that kind of peppered throughout it.
That's cool because we had just done, what was the Christmas movie that we just did? Collateral Beauty. And that movie is like, oh, it takes us 3 hours to describe the plot of the movie. I much prefer a movie that the plot is like one sentence and then like all this other shit is happening that is inconsequential but is kind of important but also doesn't like distract you from the plot, as opposed to a movie that takes you 6 hours to describe what's actually trying to happen because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Yeah, because like it's the speed, but his body. That's like the one sentence thing. Or it's like, he's a hitman trying to get vengeance, or it could go into like way more detail. Like there's like 3 different levels of how in-depth you want to describe this, and like
but you get
they
the
all
point.
Work.
Yeah, you get the point from like a very gentle thing. You're just like, that's what he's trying to do.
I mean, this movie is not hard to follow, really. It's like it's so straightforward and basic, point A to point B. But you have all these extra layers of like there are multiple gangs involved here, and there's kind of like an inner warfare going on. It's like Tokyo Drifter. There's all this like extra shit happening that just doesn't really matter in the moment of the action, which is pretty fun.
One other thing that I liked about the actual sort of like design aesthetical choices of this movie is they have fun with subtitles. Like the second movie just like throws text on screen in all sorts of ways that are, again, good and bad. Things I love, things that annoy me.
Yeah.
But this one, they're in like a sweatshop at one point, and like the boss or whatever, the manager, starts yelling at everybody, but they subtitle him in his native language. Like,
yes.
We don't need that. That doesn't help anybody. But then later, somebody else subtitles. It might be him again, and the camera swings around, and we see his subtitles on the screen, but in front of him in reverse. It's like, why are we in his first person point of view? Like, what are we doing here? But like, it's just dumb. Again, like sort of throwaway that don't have to be there, but I appreciate and I just enjoy it. So I like both those things, both those elements.
And I like that because this one has the extra element of like, because what's happening to Statham is this adrenaline thing, and he basically needs drugs in order to like kick his heart up. He has, sort of vaguely psychedelic experiences throughout it.
Yeah.
And so I like them using things like the subtitles being in the frame, like actually there as a way to indicate like, oh, he's like not even like his ringtone has that thing where like it slows down the longer it goes on,
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that, and there's a sound in the second movie or something in the second movie, but they have both been stuck in my head since I saw this movie that I forgot about it. But as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh right, yeah, no, that's been in my brain for 15 years now or whatever.
Yep. And they're creative little ways to indicate like, I don't know, like what's happening inside of that man. You know what I mean?
Because he's definitely not of sound mind. Like even when we see him from the outside, where we are technically in reality as an audience watching it, like he's not of sound mind. So like flipping it back and being like, yeah, remember his brain's probably really fried right now is a good thing.
I think we're just about at the end where he gets the one gang that he was supposed to take out, right, to come back, and he helps him take out the guys who set him up to die. Yes.
Yeah.
The finger gun is so cool.
It's so fucking cool.
And such a fun idea that like on the tail end of this movie where this guy has been an absolute psychopath, he's just like firing childish finger guns at people. I don't know. There's something very fun about that.
The finger gun thing is that he's holding his finger up like a gun, obviously, but then he's got like a sniper guy or a guy with a rifle behind him, and it actually works. And it's just very cool because they're like, I don't know, like, because they're taking him seriously because he's like a crazy person here, but then like it actually works. So like, holy shit, is this guy magic, right? Like it's a very cool way that this ends. They eventually go into a helicopter fight above LA, and then they fall. And he breaks the guy that he's chasing, Ricky Verona, a.k.a. Carter Verone, whatever, his neck in midair.
Dude, that is so badass.
I know, that's one of the best scenes of the movie and, like, something that I will never forget. Because, like, they're falling, so I'm, like, as I'm watching this for the first time, I'm like, oh, cool, he's gonna, like, throw him under him and land on top, whatever, right? But, like, snapping his neck in midair and just, like, pushing him away is so badass.
Yeah,
it's
very
like,
cool.
He's falling knowing that they're both going to die anyway and still needs to execute this guy. You know what I mean?
It's so awesome.
It's great.
And he calls Eve while he's falling and leaves her a voicemail.
A very sweet one, very calm.
Again, has to sit through all of her very long voice message, right?
And actually, that little speech at the end, as dumb as this movie is, I think actually has like a nice little bit of resonance as the capper of all of this.
Yeah. And then the movie ends with him landing on a car and then bouncing onto the pavement and then kind of blinking. You kind of hear a heart beating and the movie ends. Yep. And it's like, oh, okay. And like, I think that's cool because as we'll talk about in the second movie begins exactly where this one ends. Mm-hmm. But also if there was never a second movie, like that's also like a perfect ending. Like maybe he died, maybe he didn't, who knows? But like it's the end, right? So.
Yeah, they do a good job of that in both of these movies because I think even the second one is left basically exactly the same where
identical,
that could be the end, or we could make another one if you want us to make another one,
Yeah. After the credits, Garrett, I don't know if you watched through the credits. I told Joe did you see through the credits or no?
I can't remember if I sat through the credits or not.
It's not super important, but there's like a 16-bit video game scene of Chev running around killing people.
Oh, yes,
which is literally how the second movie begins.
It's the continuation of that, yeah. How Fast and Furious connected is it that we have Shaw running through a hospital causing chaos?
Sure. Very beginning of 7, absolutely.
Yeah, so, like, this when I was watching that, I was like, oh, cool. I can totally see... Like, it would make sense that the hospital fears him knowing who he was at the time. Like, this motherfucker's back. Like,
he did this thing in another place.
Yeah, like, we heard about this guy. The one that fucks in the street. That one. God damn it.
Yeah, so what major fast connections do we have here? We have, obviously, Statham, but in the hospital, we have Hector, which, by the way, I don't know if I said this before or not, but his last name is spelled wrong in the credits, so good job, guys.
Well played. There's a SWAT team that I thought Brian could have been on at the end.
Sure, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, actually, weird question. Does this movie take place in Florida or Los Angeles? Because early in the movie...
It's in L.A.
Okay, early in the movie, they reference Florida, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess this could be Florida. You know, then the second movie is very distinctly an L.A. movie, so I couldn't figure out then where this was supposed to be set.
Well, it's also weird, because the doctor is in Vegas, so they show McCarran Airport, but he's
but they're like, yeah, I'll be there in 45 minutes or whatever, right?
To L.A.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is that we had this whole long conversation, like, is Roman in Florida or Miami when he's in Demolition Derby? And they're like, no, not Florida, Miami, Florida or California when he's in Demolition Derby. And it's just like, they're not interchangeable, but like also like the way that movies are like laid out, like maybe they are. I don't know. So that's very Fast and Furious, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and like
confusing Florida for California.
Exactly.
Pretty on brand.
Couple of palm trees. I'm like, I don't know. Movies could make me think that's either of those places, so I'm not really sure.
Like buildings, so you're like, okay, it could be Miami,
right?
Or it could be L.A. It doesn't,
Well, and the reason I asked that is because, you know, Too Fast has all the Florida stuff and Verona as opposed to Verona. I was like, oh, this could just be more extensions of these gangs.
This first Crank movie, they have to have been like pretty big Fast and the Furious fans. Like the second one, definitely, but like the first one, as much as they're doing GTA, they're kind of like tipping their cap to Fast and the Furious too, right? In some ways,
I think that there would be more car stuff. Like there's car stuff, but it's not like the car stuff is not really the focus of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I actually, this movie, I think in general, it has that nice big car sequence through the mall, where the second one doesn't really have that much car stuff at all, to my memory.
The noteworthy car thing in the second one, from what I remember, like I think is just like when the villain in that one is going down, like what Sean Tokyo drifts up in that movie.
Yes, right.
He's going down in reverse, and Statham's like hopping around going down. But like that's not like a car thing. That's more of a Statham chasing a car stunt than a car stunt, right?
Right. Yeah, this has that great. I really like that car stunt in this movie, running through the mall and stuff. Which, that's Fast and Furious.
But either of you, any other thoughts about this movie? Or do you want to watch a trailer?
I would like to watch the trailer.
Yeah, we could watch the trailer. I'm curious if I'll remember this trailer, because I seem to remember seeing this a lot.
Yeah, this seems like the easiest movie in the world to sell, right?
Yeah.
So this is Crank 2006 official trailer posted by The Cult Box, which is Cult Trailers. I guess this is a cult movie. I feel like it's, I say it's too recent to be a cult movie, but like there's recent cult movies, so I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, 2.8 million views.
I think at this point it probably is a cult movie. Like, I don't know if the new generation of kids is totally into Crank or anything. I think now it's just like you discover it or you don't.
And I think that's kind of the definition. And we're 15 years old at this point, so
yeah. 3, 2, 1, play.
Rated R. I actually didn't know if this was going to be PG-13 or R. When I saw the DVD at the beginning, I thought the DVD got the fuck in this movie.
My name is Jeff Chelios, and today's the day that I die. Oh, but I'm getting a little.
I thought for a second it would be like, because it starts out so like melodic, like I thought it would be like an indie trailer, like just like here's an indie drama, an indie rom-com between him and his girlfriend. But like, no, here we go.
If you stop, you die.
Smashes the TV.
Now.
Oh, him standing on the motorcycle, just standing there was pretty crazy too.
Say goodbye to my girl.
That's one of the options that I pulled for the art for this episode, so I might use that somewhere.
All I have to do is stay alive.
Again, in that shot without underwear on, you see his butt.
Yep.
Lots of butt. Lots of Jason Statham butt for sure. Disciples being spelled wrong really pissed Rachel off.
You're so stressed out. What's the matter?
I need to tell you something. I'm a professional hitman.
If you're gonna break up with me, at least you can tell me the truth.
Wait.
It's always cool, like, when you're able to again, this is show don't tell, but like when you're able to show that you're good at something, like you're trying to prove to someone that you're good at something. It's just like, well, let me just kill these guys around right now. You can see that I'm not lying to you.
Yeah.
You needed this song. Fucking Right Here, Right Now is the perfect song for this movie, right?
Oh yeah. By the way, the soundtrack to this movie is pretty great, I thought.
It is.
Which, by the way, speaking of Right Here, Right Now,
I know.
Strange Days coming up on that time of the year, the New Year's Eve movie.
It's my favorite New Year's Eve movie.
So this kind of spoils things, but it's also like,
Doesn't matter.
Right.
My name is Jeff Chelios, and today's the day.
Oh, so he cuts off, I'll die. Okay, cool. September 1, 06. Very cool.
Yeah, I definitely remember that trailer.
I don't think.
I've never seen it.
September 06 was my first semester of college.
Yeah, same
So I was
here.
only starting really to go to the movies, but like I didn't go to the movies a lot because I didn't really have money. So I was watching movies at home. So yeah, I don't know.
I think I was in the theater a lot my first couple years of college, if I remember right.
It's a good time to do it, if there's any.
There was like a movie theater right down the street from like my dormitory, so I would just go all the time.
All right, so now the letterbox game. So we're gonna play this twice tonight as we record 2 episodes. But for reference sake, let's see if the Mad Max count changes in between episodes. For reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 954,000 people.
We're gonna break 1 million soon. That's cool.
Yeah,
I think that's the third time you've said that, Joe.
Well, do you see how my brain works?
I know.
Not very well.
2006, directed by Neville Dean Taylor, starring Jason Statham, Amy Smart, Jose Pablo Cantillo, who plays Ricky Verona, and Efren Ramirez, who plays Kalo, has been seen by how many people?
Okay, I'm trying to think about like who is on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
How old are they? What have they seen?
Yep.
Is this crazy? 350K?
That's really high. I'm gonna go just because of Statham. I'm gonna go what I think is high and do like 80,000.
Somewhere in between those two numbers. Another guess.
I'll drive it all the way down to 200 based on Joey's hesitation about my high-reaching numbers there.
I'll go 125.
Now you're both too high. So one more guess between
Whoa.
80 and 125. One more guess.
So like 95.
105.
Garrett is close in the end. Joe was not too far off his first time. 96,989. Almost 97,000 people. So
Okay.
I don't have any sense of like whether these numbers are good or bad. I just know sometimes like what's crazy high, right? Like a million is just like, yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, million's nuts, but this is like a 15-year-old movie, so you have to go back for it, but it also has Jason Statham.
Yeah.
It seems kind of culty. 95, whatever, sounds pretty good.
25 of my followers, or not followers, the people I follow watch it. So 25 out of 78. So like a third of the people. But again, I'm self-selecting into a crowd that basically is going to like.
You're in an echo chamber. Yeah.
Yeah. Average rating of 3.2, most common a 3, then a 3.5, then a 4. How many have this in their top 4 favorite films of all time? And I will say, for the next game we're going to play, I purposely avoided people who had both in their top 4, because I thought that was too easy.
Okay.
But how many people have this in their top 4 favorite movies of all time out of the 97,000 people who have seen this?
I'm going to go 10.
I think higher than that. Probably like 55.
You're both too low.
Whoa. 100?
Yeah, 115.
You're both too low.
200?
One more guess.
Yeah, no, 175.
Oh, he said 200. Now you're both too high. One more guess. Between 115 and 175.
133.
135.
125. So not as clean of a game that time, but 125. So, okay. I think I pulled...
That's a ton, though. That, like, comparatively,
that feels
based
like
on...
a lot to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick a person, pick a number 1 or 2?
Garrett, go ahead.
2.
All right, we're going to go to Gateway71, James on Twitter, at Gateway71, who reviewed this twice. In February of last year, he said, Jason Statham has sex in public, haha, 7 out of 10. But then...
Okay.
Then,
right.
in September of last year, so 6 months later, he said, I got to update my top 10 because this is the second greatest film ever made, 10 out of 10. So he went from 7 to 10 by seeing it again. James, 5 stars.
James was having some pandemic thoughts there, wasn't he?
He sure was. So,
he was on
James,
a whole roller coaster of emotions from February until...
So James is the kind of guy that likes to watch Jason Statham fuck. What else is in his top 4?
So here's a little bit of... Here's 2 context clues about his profile that actually might help you.
Okay.
So he's in the UK.
Okay.
And his bio is girls with colorful hair and or nose piercings message me immediately. Then in parentheses in all capital letters, note, I currently have a girlfriend, so this message is currently defunct. Any females matching this description and attempting to contact will be blocked on site. So he's British and likes...
Can I go back and choose 1 instead of 2?
Yeah, we can do 1. That's fine. You don't like James. James is fine. Bye, James. All right, we're going to go to All Day at All Day.
Okay.
La mejor película de la historia, or as I'm learning Spanish right now, the best film in history, 5 stars.
Okay. Ooh,
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
He's number 1 favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
He's 2, 3, and 4, one of which we've covered on this podcast. Joe, one of which we've covered on another podcast, and one of which we have talked about in this podcast on multiple episodes, but we have not done.
So Memento.
Nope.
Fuck.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm just guessing it now to get it out of the way so that I don't get to guess it.
Thank you, Garrett, so much before I forgot. Thank you.
But you're not right.
God damn it.
One for this show. One
Kill
for another
Bill.
show.
Kill Bill.
Nope.
One for this show, so related to your show. But it's not a Fast and Furious movie?
Nope.
All right.
One for this show that I've also done on another show. One that, Joe, you and I have
Max
done
Fury
on
Road.
Mad Max Fury Road. Yep.
Okay, there's
Number
one.
3. So now the next one that we can do is one that you and I have done on a different show that could do this show too.
Oh.
That could do this show too. Because of an actor that they share?
No.
Okay.
Different reason.
Interesting. Maybe I'm gonna go. Oh fuck, Gary, I need your help. It's the Channing Tatum movie that's about Logan Lucky. That's what my guess is.
You nailed it.
You're on the right path, but wrong actor, wrong movie.
Ocean's 11.
No,
Joe and I have not done that. I've done that with other podcasts. I've done that for Soderbergh.
Maybe Baywatch.
Still wrong actor.
So not Zac Efron.
The other podcast.
So with Ryan Gosling, a movie with Ryan Gosling.
The Nice Guys.
No, it thematically fits the show.
Drive.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Cool.
And then number 2 is a movie that I've probably brought up on maybe 10 different episodes. Came out in the last decade.
Okay.
Remake, great movie. A person who likes Crank and Fury Road and Drive will also love this movie.
And it's a remake of something?
Yep. In the last decade.
Last decade.
I feel like, Garrett, when you've been on the show, we've talked about this movie too.
Ooh. Probably. I'm the guy that couldn't figure out Spider-Verse last time.
I know.
Dude, Garrett, just to let you know, there was like 3 consecutive weeks where Spider-Verse was a movie, and I forgot it every single time. So don't
I think
feel
I listened
bad.
to those episodes.
Yeah. Joey's like, we just
I've now started
it.
describing it as the one that Joe forgets. The huge movie that you forget is a movie. Okay, Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that one.
Tell me your clues again, Joey.
We talked about it.
Remake.
Past
We've talked.
decade.
Bring it up a ton.
Bring it up a ton. What remake is actually good from the last few years?
Blade Runner 2042.
2049? No.
That's what I wanted to guess.
I would have gone the
but that's
Gosling
not-
route for that one.
That's fair. Yeah, true.
And that's like, I guess, a sequel technically. What the heck is a
Here's the other hint I will say, that we bring this up in conjunction with a couple other movies that it's sort of stylistically and whatever similar to.
Stylistically similar to? What's one of those movies?
I can't tell you that. That's too easy.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
But those movies are also great.
And it's
And we already did Drive, so it can't be like Only God Forgives, right? Yeah, because
Correct.
it's another Gosling movie. You'd have said that.
For some reason, the remake thing is like turning my brain off. I can't think of any remakes that make any sense.
A hint, kind of, is that it's not specifically a remake. It is, but it's not. It might be it's a remake kind of in style and name and character.
Oh, wait, but so is it like, I don't know, like 310 to Yuma or like
Nope,
True
that-
Grit
no.
or one of those things?
Not a Western.
But it shares the name of the movie that it's quote-unquote a remake of.
Partially.
Oh.
Is it Hateful Eight?
No, is that a remake?
I don't think so.
Of Magnificent Seven?
Oh, no. This is like a straight up, this is...
Okay. Same title.
But it's not
Same title?
But you're saying it's like same title colon something.
Similar. No. It's a very similar title.
Oh, what?
Come on, another clue.
Let me see if I can get some less common taglines for this movie.
Oh, that would be fun. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Stealing that from
By
Out
the way,
Now
Joe,
from
when I was on Out Now,
I was just going to say, yeah,
we
go
were
ahead.
playing the tagline game, and the people I were playing with were much better than you were. I was just like, oh, God, I'm getting my ass kicked, but I almost won.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I can't. There's only one tagline, and it's too obvious.
Well, just bleep out the obvious parts and give us the tone.
Blank is coming.
Winter is coming.
No, here's the thing. So it's kind of a remake, right? But the name is close but similar. But the word that I bleeped out is basically from the original title. That's a weird kind of algebra puzzle. You have to suss
Yeah, because
out in
now
your
my
head.
brain is going to things like there's like that Black Christmas remake that's not called Black Christmas. It's called like Black Xmas. Is it like that kind of?
No,
is that
no,
like
it's
what
not.
You
I'm
mean
not.
by...
Not a
Godzilla?
technicality. No down, boo over.
Okay.
Godzilla something?
No.
Oh.
What the hell?
Is it a Marvel movie? Is it a superhero movie? It's like X-Men.
No, but the lead in this has been in Star Wars and Marvel and Lord of the Rings and Star Trek movies.
Wait, Jurassic Park.
Is this an Andy Serkis movie of some kind?
It's not. I did not know that this guy was in all those different franchises, but no.
Oh. Who's in all those franchises?
The villain
Jurassic Park.
is one of the stars of Game of Thrones.
What?
Avon Barksdale is in this movie. I did not remember he's in this movie. And I know
Wait, is this Creed?
No, but no.
Okay, because I was going to guess Creed earlier, and I was like, but that's not really a remake. It's like but like it kind of is, but okay.
Avon Barksdale's in the movie, too?
Yeah, he plays like a scientist or something, I think.
Shit. What the fuck is that? Venom? Was he in Venom? What was he in?
No. It's based on a comic strip and the eponymous character.
Is this the fucking Kathy movie, bro?
Ack.
Based on a comic strip.
That's what Wiki says.
You're just making it harder. How's...
Alex Garland wrote this movie, which is a wild thing to think about.
Oh, is this Dredd?
It's Dredd!
Yeah, okay. Now I know now all of what you said makes sense to me.
It's kind of a remake, but not really a remake.
Yeah.
The name is similar. We talk about it all the fucking time because we talk about that in the Raid all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Dredd's a cool movie. I just watched the original Judge Dredd from the 90s the other day, and I liked that movie a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not as good as Dredd, but Judge Dredd is also cool.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
So that was Crank. Anybody else have any things to think about for Crank? Anything else to say about Crank?
No, I'm excited to talk about Crank 2.
I feel like I have more to say about Crank 2, although my opinion about that movie might be quite different than it was about this one.
We will find out. Garrett, what do you want to plug? What do you want to talk about? Where can people find you? Knowing that they're going to find you again on Friday, but in case they don't listen to that episode, where can people find you? What do you want people to know about fan favorite Garrett Smith?
Main feed fan fave Garrett Smith here. I have a podcast called... just shuts me down every time. I have a podcast called Killer Bees. You can find us everywhere at Killer BS Podcast.
Not a Wu-Tang podcast.
Yeah, it's not a Wu-Tang podcast.
I was wearing my Wu-Tang shirt the other day at work, and I was thinking about you. So
Thank you.
Just let you know.
Even though it has nothing to do with Garrett.
I know. I know, but like just the connection was there, and I was just like, oh, look.
See, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting it into your brain. I'm talking about Wu-Tang, but not talking about Wu-Tang.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a podcast with my partner where we pick a different B-movie actor every episode and watch a bunch of their movies and talk about them. We recently put out an episode on Austin Stoker. He's the lead of Assault on Precinct 13 and was in a bunch of
the original or the remake?
The original.
Okay.
And he's in a bunch of blaxploitation movies from that era. Like we watched a movie where him and Pam Grier flirt a lot, and my television almost melted because it was so hot. Really entertaining actor. But yeah, we've covered like Anthony Perkins and some other like bigger names that people are more familiar with probably. But we get into some I don't know. We did like David Warner recently, who's in like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. We get into some interesting people. And you can find me on Letterboxd at Philadelphia. That's with an F.
And Twitter, Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, that's right. Twitter, that place that I occasionally am at. Yeah.
Sometimes, every once in a while. Well, on Friday we'll be back to talk about Crank: High Voltage. Or Crank 2 High Voltage, depending on where you're looking. But Crank High Voltage on Friday. Do that thing. But for all things, Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page, TooFast2Forever.com. Like we teased in the intro, good stuff coming up on Patreon. Too many Brian episodes, but good Brian episodes coming up in the future. Get in there. Even $1 a month gets you in the door. The other thing to worry about, main feed fan favorite Garrett Smith, never on there. Although he's sometimes on there, but
Guys, you all heard him say it, right? Like he just officialized it.
He did. I think he solidified. That's
I'm not putting it in writing though. That's a bridge too far. Too Fast Too Forever for that. TooFast2Forever.com for that. TooFast2Forever.shop for our merch. Come back on Friday for Crank High Voltage. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was every feed fan favorite Garrett Smith, and we'll tell you all about it
when we see you again.